Press start.
Episode 187 of the Current Gen podcast. My name's Tim, here with Dan, Jeff, and Kyle. Good evening, gentlemen.
187 is murder, right? Isn't
Now,
it?
Kyle, I dig this shirt, this Cyberpunk shirt. Is this new, or have you had this before?
Yeah, I've had it.
He's had it.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. It looked familiar. I just couldn't tell if it's a shirt you've had. I like it. I dig it. Is that what your character
Thank
looks
you.
like, by the way?
You know, kind of.
That's the
a little bit.
standard
I've got
V
more
model,
hair
isn't
and
it?
more beard.
Default.
But that shirt, for sure, their jacket, rather. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice jacket.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I like anything that has LEDs in the collar so you can be distracted while you're driving or on cyberpunk drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
All day. You know what I mean?
Love that.
I get
That's
it.
kind of distraction.
I like it. All right, we're going to talk a lot of Cyberpunk today. Also, a smaller game came to Game Pass called Cocoon. We'll talk about that mainly because of the track record of the people who made it. So it was definitely worth taking a look. We got some thoughts on that. A few other little games and DLCs came out this week too that we'll at least mention. I don't know if we've played them. Some stuff that we've watched. So there's a whole bunch of content for us to kind of filter through today. And then, time permitting, I do want to do a quick check-in on Game of the Year watch. How are things looking now that we're 75% of the way through? Q3 is done. We're heading to the home stretch of the year. How are things looking? Is your top 10 feeling pretty solid? And then what do you think could upset it or kind of bump its way into it? And then a preview of October, which is going to be a very busy month for many of us. There's a few people who have said October's not a big month for me. And I'm looking at the list like every genre, isn't it?
Delusion.
Yeah.
That's from a place of delusion and ignorance.
And like, you're buying something this month, I promise. So,
I promise
you know,
you.
and
Yeah.
maybe it's
Well,
not
you know
like
what
a big. Maybe it's not a big.
Even if you're a
purchase
Call
month
of
for
Duty
you,
player.
but I know you're buying
That's all you
something.
play.
Call of
I mean,
Duty. Yeah.
I think
You're
what
not
it is
gaming,
you're
then.
you're on cyberpunk drugs if you say that. You're on cyberpunk
Right,
drugs.
got it.
right.
Yeah.
That's
true.
what it
I guess
is.
Baldur's Gate has taken up a lot of people's time, but I don't
That
believe
is
that
true.
for a second.
All right, well, let's jump right into speaking of Cyberpunk 2077. The Phantom Liberty expansion is here. We talked a little bit last week about some of the 2.0 updates, but I'm sure there's more thoughts on that, what the game is like now. It's a very different game. I've been playing it a little bit as well, and I know you guys have been playing some Phantom Liberty, so we'll jump into that first. So you've got a Cyberpunk shirt on, Kyle. Why don't you kick us off? What are your initial impressions of Phantom Liberty? Is it hitting all the right notes for you? How's it striking you?
Yeah. You know, getting your build all put together a little before Cyberpunk came out was a good move. Like putting that 2.0 out before Phantom Liberty came out. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Because like just kind of getting your feet wet with rebuilding your character and all that stuff. You know, I was ready by the time that Phantom Liberty came out, and boy, like once you walk into that DLC, because it's right there in the map. It's always been there. You couldn't access it. You know, so like it's still in Night City. You know what I mean? You don't get on a plane or anything like that. You know, so it's like you go over there. You're like, hey, this looks familiar. It's like, oh, this whole place is like kind of bustling now. And once you go in there, and Jeff, I think you're the only person who's played this. Maybe you can back me up on this. Like the first 2 or 3 hours of all story missions are they're excellent. Like it is a roller coaster ride of action and story setup and character setup and stuff like that. Really cool action set pieces and just really great. It's just a lot of cinematic action. I keep on saying that word. It just feels that first few hours really sets up kind of like a really cool and interesting ride. So how far into it did you get, Jeff? Or I don't, we don't have to go into specifics, but like, are you getting a feel for how everything is? Or
Oh yeah, big time.
yeah.
I'm still at the part where it's like wait 2 days for a call, but I'm on the second day now, so it should happen any minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm already like back in the back in the feel of the game, where the loop basically is the word I was looking for. The loop of the game, because the loop is still what it was before, ultimately, where you're looking for side missions in between the main mission.
Yep.
And I was totally comfortable doing that at launch. Still loving doing that now, but it's just everything you're doing in between those missions, like in regards to your build and stuff like that. That's where it's like totally different. For me, the best way. I know some people are kind of like preferred it to be more action, geared towards action than the RPG, because that's what it was at launch. Is more there were RPG light, and it was mainly action. It was mainly a shooter. It was mainly melee. and some hacking, of course. But it was like you felt so OP at launch. Like I don't want to say on any difficulty. I'm sure on like Nightmare or whatever it was impossible. But now it's kind of like you got to be more considerate of what you're choosing from your attributes, from your perks, and not just that, but like how it impacts your cyberware. Because there are some perks that are intrinsically tied to that, like unlocking new slots and certain limbs. And your capacity to wear cyberware, because you can't, if you get overloaded and you're not an edge runner build, then you're not gonna be able to use your stuff for long. I don't know how it works yet.
Yeah, and that's where all your stats are. Like they've gotten rid of like all cosmetic, stats and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you want to change how your character functions or outputs or inputs damage, that's all in your cyberware. Which is super cool. Yeah, and your cyberware is dictated by RAM, and RAM is dictated by whatever your build is. You get a little RAM every level, but maybe you're not a high RAM character, so it's harder to
I have like 40 or something stupid where it's like a lot.
Because you're doing like a net runner run there, Jeff.
Yeah,
right?
I'm doing
he and I both are doing net runners. Yeah.
Now, did you look up a build ahead of time? Did you reset your build right away? They give you like you reloaded your save, right?
Yeah, I reloaded my corpo save of like 68 hours, and I just reset the attributes right then and there. I was just like, let's just do it,
Yeah, I rolled with what I had, and I re-rolled the perk points, not the attribute points, and then I realized I was like, this isn't working for me, so I re-rolled again, but everything. So that's like the attributes and the perks, and you only get one of those. And now it's working for me. So. Right. I do suggest people plan out their builds for sure.
Yeah.
Because you only get one chance to right the ship. It is very, your output and input of damage really relies on making sure that you just can't choose whatever you want. You have to make sure everything synergizes and
it controls. It really does control, or it should guide the way you play. Because I'm usually, the way I did launch was I just stealthed every mission. I was just from a distance, just hacking people and just picking them off one by one.
Stealthing is pretty fun if you can do it.
Which is so much fun. But I put in this new build, I put 0 into cool, and stealth is mostly in the cool category.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, okay, run and gun. Like I'm just running in, gunning, and my reflexes are maxed out. So like I'm dashing everywhere, so they can't hit me. And obviously, like if I'm getting in a bind, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hack this fool. Like I'll still hack from a distance on occasion, but it's mostly like
you throw one contagion and pollute a whole room, and people are just taking dots all day while you're slicing people up or shooting them or whatever. It just feels great,
so good. Like this is a contrasting playthrough for me. Because of the build being so different and how I respect everything. And I'm still having a blast. Like the first time at launch, it was like I was having fun because I just felt so OP just picking everybody off from afar. And now it's like running and gunning feels just as good. And when I'm in a bind and somebody's running up on me, I just pull out the katana because that's one of the 3 attributes that I'm choosing to max out. One of them is katana focused, and I get like extra whatever XP for katana kills, or sword kills, whatever. So I'll just pull that out and just,
they added a really cool hold down triangle to like do a finisher, and like mine dashes like from across the room if need be.
The downwards,
that's so cool.
And then sometimes we'll go into like an animation.
Have you guys tried the mantis blades yet? I really want to use those.
I like those. I haven't made a build with those yet though, but I do like those a lot. Yeah.
So I did start the DLC today, which is why I was a little annoyed that we were recording tonight. To be honest, I feel like Derek, because I was like, I just wanted to play it because
especially because like Hal said,
the DLC. That's awesome.
The beginning of the DLC is like a 4-5 hour straight through mission. Like it's all mission. Like it's all main mission, and then eventually you pause. So if you just started it, then you're like, everything's intriguing away.
It's interrupting all this action. I'm fighting my way to try to go save a certain important person from this wreckage, and it's very early.
See, you already got into the cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
That just keeps going until finally you get a breath of fresh air, and you're like, oh man, that was a lot.
The first 45 minutes, you're walking and talking, meeting a new character, kind of getting a feel, and you're going to the new area. You have to kind of go through essentially like this rubble, this wreckage to get to the new area, and then the new area pops up. You're like, oh, okay, this place looks awesome. Like you said, it's like bustling people, and it's got a cool look to it. And I immediately thought like, this is not what I remember the game looking like. Like it looks so much better now too. There's so much more
Yeah, it's such a
detailed.
sharp looking game. Yeah.
Oh, it looks so good.
They've
And
even
Are we
done
all
like
on,
upgrades to Keanu. Like he's never looked better
yes,
than he
Yeah,
does
he
here.
looks
I'm like,
amazing.
when I
He's more
walk into Dogtown,
breathtaking.
is he gonna look
Yeah.
like dog shit again? Like,
Yeah.
does he
Dog shit
only
in
look good
Dogtown?
here?
Yeah, no, everybody looks great. Are we all on
Yeah.
different consoles? Because I'm on Series X and Kyle's on PS5, right? So
I'm
are you on PC?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're all getting a
Ah,
different.
Looking good everywhere.
Yeah, it's looking good everywhere. Yeah,
And it
on
runs
Series
super
X, it's
smooth.
on Dolby too, so it's like,
Yep.
it's
So
amazing.
I did
dude.
start a brand new playthrough that I do plan on kind of like making that my main playthrough, but I just went
Yeah.
ahead and did their option. I was curious how CDPR did it, where you can jump right into it. What's it like to just fire up a new character? And they give you a level 16 character with some points allocated.
That's cool.
Of course, you can reallocate them one time for free if you want to. That way you can kind of do your own build.
I think it's kind of a Netrunner build, isn't it?
It is a
kind of
Netrunner build.
Yeah.
Yep. So so I was just wanted to get a feel for the DLC a little bit, mostly for the sake of talking about it. But now that I've kind of just played a little bit of it and I've paused, I think I want to go do my main run and get to it with the character.
Yeah. There are things that people you'll meet and things you'll do before you get to that DLC that the DLC will mention if you did that stuff.
It already has. There's already several moments. I'm like, oops, didn't know that happened. Okay.
Oh
all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some which is another reason why they were like, hey, you should go back and replay the game because you probably don't remember that you made this
I
decision.
think I'd put 20-ish hours into the game total. I'd played 2 different characters, which is why it was so much time. And my highest, I had one character that was like level 12 or something, and then I had another one that was like level 16. So I really haven't gotten super far into the game.
Right. Not at all.
Maybe like a fourth to a third, somewhere in that range of like the main missions. So a lot
There's
of
not many of those, you know. It's a very side quest beefy
true.
game. So
Yeah.
And I think that's where most of my time was spent, was so much side stuff. And I've only seen one T-pose since 2.0. I've only seen one T-pose character.
Oh man, I want to see one. I was
gonna ask, like, how does the game like feel like it's running compared? I mean, I don't know how bad it was for you guys.
I haven't had any crashes, which is weird because I was getting crashes earlier this year, pre 2.0, on the same system and everything like that. Every once in a while on long sessions, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, that crapped out on me. I haven't had any of that so far, but I have seen some like pop in and stuff like that though. Slow down, a little bit of chugging, you know, when like fast traveling and loading into an area, and immediately I start running. The game's like, whoa.
Yeah,
like,
hold on.
Don't do all that at once, you know. Let it load in first.
I haven't gotten any of that like at all.
Xbox better than PlayStation, confirmed. Continue.
Well, it's actually
It's
if
true.
you look at the aggregate, if you look at the aggregate score, Xbox Series X is actually higher.
The teraflops. Okay.
It's the teraflops.
Yeah.
No, but it really is.
Flops.
It's like it is. It's surprisingly really well put together on Series X. But I think that kind of makes sense considering Cyberpunk has been all over their showcases and stuff like that, and they've had that agreement together. It's probably because they've been working on that console the most. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I'm very surprised I haven't been, because I was the one at launch going, this game is the worst. Like I just couldn't run it.
The
on
things
PS4.
I just mentioned are super mild. Like I wouldn't even call them like very negative. You know what I mean? Just like it's almost any game would have a little bit of popping in an open world game.
Yeah, I'd expect it. In
so
Fallout
like
4 still,
it is not even painted even kind of as a negative experience for me right now.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, so it's running pretty smoothly for me. At first it was only maxing out at 30 frames per second, and then during those moments you're talking about, lots of action or running with lots of things loading, I had the little like Steam counter up in the top. It's like a little gray number that can kind of give you a track of it.
Cool.
And it was really out of the way, which is nice. Anyway, it would dip down closer to 20 during some of those busier sections, and that, being totally honest, I actually kind of noticed, like, oh, it's a little jittery. Like, it wasn't actually chugging, but it just kind of didn't. It just, I don't know. It just feels stuttery because you get used to it, and it would level back up to 30. So then I just went in the settings, and I have a very mid-range. It's actually, as technology is improving, it's getting closer to the lower end of mid-range PCs, and so, you know, I had things set at around high using DLSS, and I'm like, this should be running well. And then I just saw the ray tracing setting. I just turned it off just to see what that would do. I'm not noticing any major visual difference, and I'm sure it's there if I did side by side. But all of a sudden, frames per second went up to like 58 to 60 and has stayed there the whole time.
Yeah, that ray tracing is a.
It's like that's all this was.
It is kind of a resource hog for sure. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
So if I saw a side by side, I'd be curious if not only would I notice it, but also like would I ever sacrifice that smooth of a
Dude, I didn't notice it when they
experience.
were showing off these new well, I'd say new at the time consoles, PS5 and Xbox Series X, and they kept showing side by sides of what.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't see the ray tracing. What's there? I
Right.
literally don't.
I don't see this.
But
Yeah,
I
it's like
genuinely don't still.
Someone put out a mod to like quote unquote fix faces in certain games, including stuff like recent stuff like Starfield, and they put up side by sides, and everyone's like, "It's the same face. Like, what are you? It's the same.
We're
face.
not that far apart anymore, guys. It's not that far.
So anyway, I love that stuff. Anyway, overall, like once I did that, it's running like so smoothly, and the combat feels great. And I don't yet have a full grasp of all the how all the attribute points work and the perks and what exact build I want to go for. Like I still have a lot to figure out there, but man, is it good! Whew, what a good game!
Liking it, man.
It is a good game. Like whenever we go back and revisit 2020, that's going to be that one's going to have a significant part of the conversation for me where it didn't last time.
Very much so. Yeah.
Last time it was like, no, bottom of the list is fine. Like it doesn't need to be up that high. But now it's kind of like, ooh, all right, this one deserves to be in the tier. Not saying above, in the tier with the games that were jockeying for that top 4. You know, it deserves to be up there.
And that was a already tough year. So
unbelievable year.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Even if we put it in this year, because in its current state, it feels like the most finished version of the game. To the point where it's like even the dev is like, I think we're done with this, right?
But sure they confirmed, right? It was just this and that's it.
No more updates at least, but they'll
aren't they already aren't they working on a sequel to this as well as
they
immediately moved on to Project Orion?
Oh, okay.
Immediately.
Yeah, so like even if we were able to count it as a new game, it's not. But even if we were able to, if there was some sort of whatever, I would be like, okay, this is number 1 for me.
We had the same discussion with Blood and Wine. It was like,
I was gonna say this is just like that. It's like 30 or 40 hours depending on how much you're doing. So it's like
we ended up just kind of giving it like an
honor.
We gave it like an honorable mention because it's technically what
you have to. Yeah, you have to shut it out.
It's not like Burning Shores where it was like, oh, it was 8 hours, maybe not even that, 6 hours, something like that. And I tried to do everything that wasn't just racing around or whatever. So like it's definitely not on par with that, even though that is an RPG. That's an action RPG.
Yeah.
This one is like they've changed so much and added so much. It's just so different.
It's a fully realized world, man. Like as you're just walking around and you see these characters that are whatever they're doing, having a conversation or clearly super high and stumbling down the road, or like it's just a fully realized experience.
Just look everywhere at all the ads. Like just like when you're looking at the billboards and you're like, what the
I don't remember. Did they add all this stuff in? No. Like, I don't remember
this
being
is all
so
the stuff I was saying in 2020 trying to get this game higher on the list. It's the most lived-in world I've ever seen, guys.
And we're like
whatever.
I must have had your back out because I remember enjoying the game. Like, I don't think it was my favorite of the year, but
yeah.
I definitely remember enjoying it.
No, but I think that over time they have added new ads. You know,
I think they have.
I don't know if there was more, but more people. I know in the 2.0 update they said they added more density. You know,
I
so
feel
that means
that
that means sounds and people, not just like you know, just the people walking around, but traffic and everything like that.
Yeah.
So
I totally feel it because it was
there is launch, a density update for sure.
When I played on PC and I beat it on PC, like that was like the main thing was like, isn't this supposed to be open world and like overly populated? And I'm just like not feeling. It felt a little empty of ads, and like now I just don't. I'm like, this is an open world game. Like it just feels on par with GTA in terms of the variety of stuff you're seeing. Even more so because it's Cyberpunk and it's super busy. So
you could stop in storefronts and listen to radio station, just like in GTA, or watch some fake, like visible ad like on TV or something, or commercial or show or whatever.
And I even like was walking around looking for loot. I still do what I did in the first time I played it, where I'm just like scanning every single room. Yeah. And I was looking for loot, and I was like, where is this dude talking coming from? And it was like a little tablet playing a full video ad.
What's that? Where is it coming
from?
Just
watch it real quick.
They fully animated a tablet, and like
it's so funny.
Unbelievable.
It's like how in High on Life, don't they have a full movie in High on Life?
Yeah.
It's like an old like 80s movie.
Like in Red Dead Redemption, you can go in and like watch a movie, Like,
sure.
I like that stuff.
That's right. In the tent.
Dumb. Why would you do it?
There was
really
also I have to compliment their gigs, which I wouldn't even call them side quests because some of the side quests were more character oriented at least in the original game. But like gigs, I don't remember them being so involved. Like I feel like they're way more involved in the DLC. Like there was one I did where it's I had to rescue a couple cops that got in trouble, and they are stupid. They are so dumb and funny, and I just don't remember the writing being that so carefully involved in the main game, at least at launch, because I remember the gigs being more like you got to go rescue that person, and that's all you do. That's it. Yeah. Whereas this is, I don't know, the writing is just so good. And like when you meet the final boss of that gig, it's like this feels like a big deal. Like I don't know.
I think they really wanted to like
feel big and
consider that redemption arc here, because like people were pretty pissed about. There were people that were pissed about the state of that game and lack of content or whatever.
Yeah, like
whatever the reasons was.
Look at the people that made the backlash on Starfield, their whole personality, even though that game didn't deserve backlash to that level. So like Cyberpunk, there were people that had complaints. So of course there are people that are like, "Oh, I get to hate something today? Ooh boy!" And they just could
what
not
you hating
wait
over here
to crap on it online.
Yeah.
So
it's
nice to see
people on the last gen consoles essentially had an unplayable mess for the most part.
Yeah,
so I feel for them.
And you can't even play this on old consoles. They're like, we didn't make this game for that, or 2.0 for that matter. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
And in the Cyberpunk groups, I see a lot of that where it's like, I'm just mad I can't play anymore. I'm like, you play PS4, dude. You're barely a human
You're not even
being.
playing anything.
You know what I mean? You're barely. You're not a consumer anymore. You didn't upgrade. They don't care about you. Yeah. That's how it works, man.
I was gonna say Jimmy's laughing at you, but Jimmy gone. So
he's not gone yet. He's still laughing.
He's got till March to laugh. So
yeah, he'll keep laughing with that VR headset on.
Yeah, I guess my last thoughts on it were just I really like all the spycraft stuff. You run into so you're doing like missions, like on behalf of the U.S. government, pretty much, things leading up to the events in the game. And like, so what you're doing is you're meeting all these like sleeper cell agents and all these like used and tried and true contacts and yada yada. And like the way that they're weaving this like, I don't know, mission or investigation to whatever they're doing in this piece of DLC, it feels so, I don't know, cool, man. Like the story is just super cool, and the people you meet along the way are super cool, and the way that you meet them and the relationships between each other, because they've all been on missions with each other before. Like there've been, falling outs, and there's old friendships and ruined friendships and all this stuff, and like navigating all these like really rich characters is just really, really cool. And I feel like that's something that the first Cyberpunk did as well, and they just did it so well here because it's so secluded and isolated, and they're telling a story cohesively and not across an entire video game, but just a part of this video game. And I love the pacing of it all and everything like that. And that's the stuff I'm most excited for is like, I hate that I'm so distracted, because if I see something else to do that's not a main mission, I'm doing that. But I'm just like, can we just get through this so I can get back to the main story? Because I got to know what's going on, I got to see what's happening next, You see it in the trailer, but they introduced the idea of like putting one of those like Mission Impossible masks on or whatever, And I'm like, I want to do this right now, No, El Capitan, I'm not going to bring you another car. I have to go.
I've done 3.
Use my chameleon face,
3 is enough. You greedy.
You got all the cars you need, buddy.
Especially like the first 3 cars are like really, really fast sports cars for me, at least, and then like the other ones I'm seeing now.
I'm only driving hoopties now. Yeah.
I'm like, no, what are you doing, bro? You don't need those.
I drove a minivan this afternoon. I was like, I hate my life so much right now. Like Idris Elba is waiting for me in a bar, and I'm driving this minivan.
I hate my life so much.
If he sees me pull up in this minivan, he will not talk to me.
I know. Yeah, we gotta offload this thing.
His introduction is so rad, by the way.
I can't wait.
And I don't mean like they talk about him first and they say you got to go meet him or whatever, and then that scene where you meet out in public and stuff, it's so cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Hey, the performances in this are something else, huh? Like they.
Oh my god, yeah.
I didn't even ask, how's Idris Elba?
Yeah,
that was amazing. And
whoever plays the Songbird girl, I don't know who she is. She's
great already, man. Like she's captured my attention right out of the gate, and the whole kind of not really rug pulled out from under you, but the whole kind of what's happening at the beginning. And I just thought that was a really cool spin on things. It intrigued me immediately. And I was like, all right.
I think what got me going, holy crap, this game, like, wow, was the moment you first enter Dogtown, and it's like you see the plane, right? You see the plane going overhead, and it's like run, and you see everybody, like everybody's kind of running because it's like a hobo, like there's a homeless camp right there at the entrance, and everybody's kind of running around in disarray, and so like it's just. And the music was like fire that moment, and
the music in that first shootout. And I think it's the shootout music for everything in Dogtown. It's so good. Like, you know, again, not music maybe I would listen to like outside of the game, but like in terms of like I'm so happy I'm killing people for this
perfectly.
right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It fits so well.
Yeah. And I love in the middle of all that getting text from like Judy, like being like, "Just I miss you," and I'm like, there's espionage going on right now.
Oh, so you're a female character then, Jeff, right?
Yeah.
And so Kyle, yours a male character, your main.
Mine's male, and I went with the Hick Pan Am.
Oh,
She's the one that I was in the middle of starting to romance in my main run through.
She's great. She's the best girl. Yeah,
and then when I did like the create me a character for the Phantom Liberty stuff, it's the first time I've used a female character for V. I had done male, but I was like, hey, this voice actor for V is pretty awesome. This female voice actor.
I like him too. Everyone prefers female V in terms of like voice acting. I thought the male was really good too, though.
I like the guy.
Yeah, I think the guy's really good too.
He sounds like I don't know, especially he's really fitting for a street kid type of voice.
It's not like Assassin's Creed Odyssey where the guy sounds like he's from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, like some dumb.
Hey.
But there is some like kind of Brooklynish kind of accent to it though.
That's why in Assassin's Creed Odyssey you've got Cassandra is like the face of that game and the character people refer to it that game, because not only is she supposed to be the main character, really her voice actor is so much better than the guy.
Well, FemShep ended up taking over for MaleShep. You know, everyone ended up really liking FemShep in the end for 2 and 3. So,
but then in Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
I like the second they introduced her, like all the marketing switched to like female shepherd, like on all the posters and everything. Yeah.
That's interesting because I did a male run in all 3 of those.
Sam, I'm really egotistical. I make a face that looks like this usually, and hit enter.
Sure, you gotta.
You know me, I don't at all for myself. Mine looks stupid.
I'm so boring. Yeah, I'm like I want to be the center of this story. Like there's something.
My Viking in Assassin's Creed Valhalla was a guy because it's the redheaded dude from the last Kingdom, and I liked that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Okay. Nice.
So, I'm sure the female, I think it's Ivor is the character's name. They kind of pick like a name that could go either way. Ivor.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all right, cool. Well, Cyberpunk 2077, one of the coolest kind of comeback stories. Not that the game was bad, but it just had a lot of noise all around it, and it certainly needed some cleaning up. And they've just. To me, it's on the level of something like No Man's Sky, where it could have just been like, oh, well, what a disappointing, didn't quite hit for everyone.
On to the next game,
Right, but no, they fixed it up and made it way beyond what I think most people expect.
I think the director said that in an interview too. He was like, we had no choice but to do, like, we not in a bad way, not in like we were obligated to the public, but in a way they were. They were like, it would have been wrong to turn away from this game after all the hoopla and all this stuff. Like, we owed it to all the gamers to see this game through and give the version that we intended to give to everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you guys know what year Cyberpunk was announced with kind of that little teaser of the chick?
Was it like a decade ago at this point?
It was 2012. Yeah.
2012, yeah.
Where it was kind of like a
long time.
It was kind of like a
and
CG
I was out
trailer.
of the gaming sphere at that point.
It was a CG trailer.
It was the Mantis girl. Yeah.
It was the girl, right? It's kind of in the middle of the street, and a bullet kind of grazes her cheek or something like that. Or her arm.
She's naked. You know, it was such a vibe, dude. It was like an 80s metal album cover.
It was like, what is this game gonna be? And it's like, wait 8 hours and you'll see. Or 8 years, I mean, not 8 hours. 8
hours. That would have been something.
See you soon.
That would have been great. All right. Well, so Cyberpunk 2077 is in great shape. Highly recommend it, especially if that setting is your vibe, and if you like first person action games, but also really like some RPG elements. Like this has all that with amazing storytelling. Highly recommend.
A lot of great celebrity actor games going on. We have Megan Fox in Mortal Kombat. We got Idris Elba.
Yeah, Megan Fox and Idris Elba are about on par with each other in terms of importance and delivery of.
And the full cast of Rocky City.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget Rock
which is probably the most star-studded cast of them all.
Might be the best game cast ever.
Yeah, it might be the best game cast ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds like it might be one of the worst games ever made.
I don't know. They're making more content for it, and like
stop it.
They are.
It's it's kind of a hit like on the streaming scene, which is so weird to me.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So many better
I think
games
it's calculated. I think they purposely put out a shitty game with like high buzz.
Yeah.
For streaming. I think
if it had been a single player,
let's put out a meme game, guys. It's a meme game.
Meme game, exactly. Yeah.
If it had been like a 6 or 7 out of 10 single player game, I might have played it by now, just out of sheer curiosity. But because of the structure of what the game is, I was not interested.
Same.
Yeah. All right. Well, to completely shift gears, I mean, we couldn't shift to a more different video game than Cocoon. So. This
figure out a way to.
It's so different. It's so insanely different.
There's not even like is there a different game that came out that's a middle step for us before we? I don't think there is. I think
El Paso Elsewhere shoots guns.
Infinite Strash. Infinite Strash.
Did you get?
I want to use that word as little as possible this of the podcast if we can.
Strash.
That's not only trash, but
sentence that makes me mad. That sentence.
Cyberpunk's 2077 was Strash when it came out. Now
I don't know what that means. I feel like if we keep on using that word, I'm not going to understand any words.
Do any words make sense?
All right,
all words are made up.
So Cocoon is from Geometric Interactive. It's this little studio from Denmark. Now the main two guys that formed this studio used to be on with Playdead, who of course made Limbo and Inside. So they've got some good chops in this world of video game making. And so Cocoon looked intriguing. It's got this. The art style reminds me a little bit of stuff like Death's Door, which I played and loved. Also like Monument Valley. Do you remember that game? Yeah. Really interesting kind of isometric puzzling. So it's got like some vibes like that. Like some of the art style looks like that, but it's also its own thing, and it's a really pretty game. It uses color really interestingly. But this is the closest thing that I've played. This is gonna sound weird, to Inception in a video game experience. Like here's what I mean by that. You are constantly going inside these different realities and then taking that reality and putting it here. That way you can carry that one to it. Like these orbs are little worlds within themselves that are interconnected, and you have to like place one within the other to transport it sometimes. And it gets confusing. Did you finish this game yet, Jeff?
No.
Dude.
I have like an hour or so left. Yeah.
By the end, I was going, what do you want me to do with these orbs? Like,
what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want from me? So there's only 4 boss fights in the game, and then it's all like puzzles. And by puzzles, I don't mean like every game has a different definition for puzzles, but this is all about.
It's not orbs. The Witness. I saw a YouTube comment go, "This reminds me of The Witness," and I'm like, "You're an idiot."
Nothing
it's
like
nothing
The
Witness.
I don't think this game has a single element similar to The Witness. Not even one thing.
You walk around.
Say it's like a comparison, much like Dragon Age and Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes. No, not at all. That's a good comparison.
Actually, that comparison sounds smart compared to The Witness.
You know what? You're being a pile of Strash right now, right?
I deserve that.
By the way, dictionary.com says it's not a word, so we should stop. Stop while we're ahead.
So Square is just making up.
So this is it's one of those games that tells you nothing, and 0 times in the game does it ever give you a button prompt or a single word to work off of. Like it doesn't tell you anything. Nothing is communicated. And then even when the credits start rolling, that's the first words I saw in this game. From when I hit start game to when the credits started rolling, I was like, oh, there's some letters I recognize. Everything else in between is just visual, figure it out.
I can't believe you finished it already. That's cool. But it is like 4 hours, maybe 4.5. Yeah.
The final few puzzles are legitimately like they kind of, and I started to look one of them up because I was stuck, and I was like, I want to finish this before we record. I want to just kind of wrap this one up to get my thoughts on it. So I started to look it up, and there wasn't even a guide, at least not in the first few results that I could find. There was a bunch of wikis that are out there, but those sections of the game, no one's filled it out yet because it's too new, So there's not. So I was like, all right, good. I'll just go. So I did figure it out because I don't like looking things up if I don't.
Me neither. And this is one of those games that it doesn't take you long to figure it out, honestly. Like there was one time in the beginning where it's like the easiest puzzle in the freaking game, where you have to hit a button to move a platform from one side to the other. You're probably not going to remember this by now because it's such an easy, elementary, early in the game puzzle. And then you have to but when you hit the button on that platform, another platform moves in the opposite direction, and you have to get to that other platform.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, I guess I can't beat the game. And then when I looked it up, I'm like, Oh my God, there's a ledge right there. There's
That's
a
where you have
ledge
to step
right
off
there.
the ledge onto
you step
the
off the ledge while it's
yeah,
moving.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I'm a complete idiot. And then since then, I haven't had to look up a single puzzle. Like I've been able to like just pause and think about what's available to me on the screen and in the game. Okay, if I do this, then if I change the color of the water or whatever for the fast travel, I can do this. And then if I can change it back, then I can do this. Like you kind of easily gather your thoughts.
You learn the language of the puzzles.
Exactly.
Each of them have a special. Each color orb. There's 4 total orbs, and each has a special ability. There's a red-orange one that creates a bridge, if you're holding it. There's a green one that allows you to turn certain solid elements into gas, so you can kind of like transport through them. Mm-hmm. And then the purple one. Remind me what the purple one does. I forget already.
In the boss fight, it teleports you, but that's about it.
The purple one, there's stuff in the level later where I won't give it away, but like basically you pick up one item and then that becomes the orb and the former orb disappears. It's like a transporting ability.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because after you, I didn't even consider that part of the ability, but that is true. Once you beat that boss, it becomes like those become plants and you can just grab them. Yeah.
And then the last one fires a little projectile that that's when it becomes super complex, because some of the puzzles you have to fire the gun
from a different world.
From a different world into an orb, and then you have to set up a third orb in that orb's world to receive that one. That way it hits the switch, and then you got to go, like, that's why I said Inception. You have to go a few levels back up to where you need to get the door to open. So you wait for the switch to hit and you go through it. But then you have to figure out a way to circle back around, maybe unlock a staircase to pick up all the orbs and take them with, like, dude, this game gets a little complex by the end.
Especially when you explain it aloud. But as I'm playing it, not once am I like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, there's not one moment where I'm like, I can't verbally explain it the way you just did. Like even that I would fail at. But when you have the controller in your hand, there's something about it. God, that's what makes the game so genius to me, is like they're playing on gamers' intuition.
They didn't explain any of this.
Right. And like they're playing on the fact that you've picked up and held a controller before, so you know that buttons do things, and like you know that if you hold a button, sometimes the way you do things changes, and like they're just kind of relying on the fact that you played a game before and that you have problem solved before once in your life. Like, I mean, that's really all it is.
Yep.
So that's why that's the genius element of it to me, is like the fact that they're not explaining any of this to you. And you're just going through it and figuring out where to go, even though there's all these different worlds to travel within, at least like 4, I guess. But depends on where you move the orb, right? Because sometimes you can house the orb somewhere else. Fast travel. By the way, fast travel animation is like the coolest fast travel animation I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's so really freaking cool. Like the way that it zips into the orb and then when you zip out of it, it's amazing, dude. It's so awesome.
It's a really cool transition as your character kind of like flies up and the world kind of ripples, and almost like it goes inside out in a way. Like
yes,
it's very cool.
At least look up that on YouTube, because that is amazing. Yeah. And every time I do it, like at certain points, I'm like, oh yeah, that's good stuff right there. Like it's just a simple fast travel thing.
Yeah, they did require, especially at the end, as I was trying to figure different pieces out. There's a certain amount of backtracking and back and forth that I started to kind of after a while going like, I get it. Don't make me go back all the way through and like place all the orbs in their respective worlds and then do the little ripple. Like after I was getting a little bit tired of it at the end, so I was glad that it ended when it did. I'm glad it's a shorter game. I think I spent a total of 3-ish hours with it, maybe a little more than 3 hours.
I'm glad you verified to me just now that there's only 4 orbs, because if there was a 5th one, I would have been like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Like I would have been like, that's where I draw the line.
What if that's the DLC, a 5th orb?
Yeah, it's got a 5th world and a 5th orb. And I'm glad you said there's 4 bosses, because I beat the 4th one. And
I liked the 4th one. The 3rd one was annoying.
Easier than the 3rd one. What the hell?
But it was funny when he's hopping around on one leg. I was laughing out loud when you get him down, and he's like trying to hop to get to you. I was like, this is funny, because most bosses get tougher with every phase. He got easier with every phase. It was so funny because he couldn't move as well, and he had 2 legs, and he was trying to like walk to you, and it was not working well. I loved it.
That was a great boss. I love the art design of like every level. It's just so much like Inside's more like macabre and like gothic and more focused on, there's some mutilation and stuff in that game. This is more like Alien, almost like a world where you're like a cocoon, like not a cocoon, you're like a moth person or something.
Yeah.
In some type of world with alien tech, kind of like Planet of Lana a little bit, but way more detailed in my opinion. And not just greens and grays and whatever, because that's what Planet of Lana is mostly. But like, yeah, this is way more detailed. And there are like some animations where like you take an elevator that's some sort of weird creature thing machine up to another area, and I'm like, what am I watching right now? It's that feeling that I had during Inside, where I'm like, what am I doing right now? Like, it really is something else.
There's a whole bunch of stuff as they're transitioning when you beat a boss or maybe finish a level, and it's kind of resetting things, and you're kind of flying, you're not controlling much. There's a whole bunch of moments that I call them Trapper Keeper moments, where I don't know what I'm looking at, but it's cool 3D effects of some kind. It's just kind of that Trapper Keeper.
I'm sure there's a story baked in there somewhere, much like Inside, but I don't know.
I think the final shot of the game is something significant, but I don't know what they're trying to say with it. I'm curious to hear what you think.
It's kind of like Inside, where the ending is like, oh, you're going to end the game there. Well, it's got to mean something. That's very well. Like, I still can picture the frame of the ending of Inside in my head.
Me too.
Like,
yeah. Also, that whole final section of the game was like, I don't like this. But yeah, no, I think there's an event that happens at the end that I think there's an obvious thing, like, oh, okay, they were building towards this, but there's a final shot right before the credits roll that I was like, what are they suggesting here? I'm not really sure what this means. But anyway, whatever, man. It's a really creative game. It's like Jeff said, it's easy to take for granted how well designed it is because it doesn't say a word to you, and yet if you've played a video game before, even if you haven't, I bet you could probably figure it out. There's just one button. There's one interact button that you use, and your little character moves around pretty quickly. There's, the controls.
Yeah, there's no like, oh god, I got to backtrack and it's going to take forever.
Yeah,
everything runs around pretty quick.
Intuitive. So to me, it's just really brilliant game design to create these levels of puzzles that you can solve, and they don't tell you a thing. There's not like a press start for a tutorial thing. There's no option for any of that.
There's a gamepad setting, and it's like your left stick is movement, and then like the A. Well, I'm an Xbox, so it's like the A or whatever is the action button. That's it. Yeah, that's the only thing it tells you.
That's it. The other buttons are to press when you're frustrated, I guess.
I literally did say that one. I did say that again, like 2 hours after I said, "Oh, I guess I can't beat the game." I did say that again at one point, and it was like when I couldn't figure out. I was like, "Well, I need to move the orb over there, and there's no way to do that. So what do I? Oh, I got to change the color of the water in the fast travel. Okay, I guess there is a way to beat it. Damn it! Like it's always there's always when you think you hit a wall, you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta change.
Have you gotten to the section where you have to bounce the projectile off of walls yet? Because there's a few of those puzzles that took me a minute to figure out what does he want me to do. Like
there was one that was like I immediately figured out. I was like, oh, he wants me to shoot it, and I can't see the reflection. Like I can't see it. Like you have to shoot it and just trust that it's gonna hit the thing when you need to go to the platform, basically.
Yeah.
I've done that, and I'm back in the orange area, let's call it that, which is kind of like the starting area of the game, which is more of like a desert area. And I'm running to the right. It's like there's like a main fast travel point for that area, and I'm going to the right now where it wasn't open before, but now that I have a projectile, I can go that way.
And they weirdly connect too over time. These different areas, actually, you can kind of walk from one to the other eventually, which is cool.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Am I not there yet? How have I not noticed that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't until towards the end as I was trying to piece together the different stupid orbs.
Those damn orbs. It does sound like you beat it at the right time, where it was like maybe 5-10 minutes to you were like, okay.
I might have been like, you know what? I get it. I understand what they're doing. I'm out. I was getting close to that because it's not like it was difficult, but I started to realize like I could try this, but that means I have to go 3 layers deep again into this weird dream world and get this orb and go place it. Like I was starting to feel a little bit of that, and so then thankfully it let off right at the right moment.
Yeah. This is definitely the kind of game that I could see in any other year. This would be like in a 2021 year. This would be a Game Awards nomination somewhere in many categories.
Yeah, it should be considered for some indie awards because it's very
this
creative.
Year's Stray.
Yeah, but it would be along the lines of this year's Stray.
Hey, how dare you?
I dare.
In terms of like, I mean, that's just where it should be artistically, I think, appreciated.
Can confirm the fast travel or whatever you want to call it is pretty rad.
Slick, right?
The way it goes like into the screen, but then it comes out of like the orb thing. Like,
it's like Tim described, where it's like it's going inside out. I don't know how they're doing it.
It's very
blew
creative.
my. They had to be like have a work party when they figured that out. Like, all right, guys, take the rest of the day off. That was amazing.
I mean, sometimes it's pretty simple, right? You have this little like drone buddy who you need to get from point A to point
B. He's a drone key. That's what I call him.
And he's getting grabbed by these little like capture module things that capture him. So you have to figure out a way. And usually the orbs come into play somehow. Like, all right, could I get the orb without my little buddy over there, plant it somewhere, come back, get my buddy, and then maybe transport to that orb?
Sometimes you even have to do a fast travel. I love when they introduce the fast travel as a part of the solution. Right. I love that.
Yeah, it comes into play a bunch.
Like there was one time I had to. You actually do have to get him caught in a different reality.
Yeah.
And then like go back to the reality that you're in.
You.
Yeah. And it's very interesting. And I love that the colors of the orbs are like if you left an orb in that reality or whatever, like you can see a little tiny speck of like purple in the green or whatever.
But what it doesn't show you is if you have
so hard to describe
layers deep. By the way, because the worlds connect, I started to really confuse myself because I had the green orb and the orange orb was in that world, and then I traveled while in the green world to the orange world where I saw like, dude, it was very confusing. I was like, where am I again? Like, what layer deep am I? I felt like Leonardo DiCaprio in Inception.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what reality I'm in. Someone pushed me over so I wake up because this is getting confusing.
or Charlie with the board and he's just freaking out.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, what's going on?
God, the game is so good. Like, I did have an experience with it where I like, and I wasn't even frustrated with the puzzle. It was the boss fight, the one that had like, to me, it felt like 20 phases, even though it was more like probably 10. But it was still the fact that the other bosses had maybe 3 or 4 hits and they're done. But this guy just kept generating a new shield, and I'm like, oh, I keep getting hit, and and when you get pushed out, you have to start the boss fight over again. And granted, it does go faster each time, but it's still like oh, I have to start completely over.
You don't die. The enemies will grab you. The bosses, there's only 4 bosses.
Yeah, they'll throw you out of that reality.
They just throw you out of that reality, and it kind of like warps you back to the world above, and you got to warp back in, and you just keep fighting them.
Yeah, but I had a rage quit moment where I uninstalled it. I still had it installed on my PC though. So it was uninstalled on my Series X, and I went back to my PC, and I was like, I got to uninstall it here. You know what? No, I'm going to do it one more time, and then I beat him on the first try.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Never give up on your dreams, I guess. I don't know where.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, Jeff, is what we've learned.
That's right.
Where
you can dream dreams, it, you can do it.
Wait, where wings take dream. Isn't that the George Bush quote?
Take it. Yeah.
Just do it.
Take it. Yeah. Just do it.
Just do it.
All right, that's enough about Cocoon. So Phantom Liberty is awesome. Cocoon is a very niche game that I do recommend for anyone who liked Limbo and Inside and kind of likes a different style of puzzle game. It really is unique, and it's on Game Pass. So if what we described appeals to you at all, absolutely give it a try. A couple other new things that are out. El Paso Elsewhere. Do you guys play this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This one's good. This is a good one.
Give me the elevator pitch. I have not looked at this game.
Max Payne fights vampires and werewolves.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's an action game?
Yeah, big time.
Get out of here.
And it's like retro
slow motion diving and everything. It plays just like Max Payne,
and it's like retro, deliberately a retro game where it's not PS2. It's cleaner graphics, but they are aiming for that like PS2 360 era of like shooting and how it controls and how it kind of looks a little bit. So it's very retro in that regard, mid 2000s retro.
Like, man, it's just got a real good like, hey, we're going for like 95% vibes in this game.
Yep,
and that's what the game is. It's just
success,
like,
bro.
We're gonna have some really weird music going on. That's kind of like in the first level rapping about what you're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
I couldn't believe that.
I was like,
what?
This is cool.
They had a budget for this.
Yeah, it was super weird and awesome, and just like again, like the whole setup is like, hey, I found out that my girlfriend is the lordess of all vampires, and she's gonna end the world tomorrow, but I'm gonna stop her.
Sure.
He's like, so I'm gonna get back on drugs, and because like he's like clean and sober, but now he's got to take his pills again, which are your healing, just like in Max Payne. And I'm gonna go kill my girlfriend or whatever.
Oh, some of these diving sideways screenshots are very Max Payne.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, big
and
time.
the slow mo is there too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I can't wait to play more of this. It's a very weird game, and I knew it was going to be weird. Every time I saw it at PAX, I was just like, God, this is going to be so weird. And it's delivering big time on that.
And they just state things that are happening like it's a fact we should already be associated with. Like,
yeah.
Oh, my reality's collapsing. And I'm like, oh, that's a thing here? Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting.
A Tuesday for me. He's very cool, calm, and collected. And the voice acting's really good.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like,
writing is really good. Yeah.
So this company made other El Paso games. One's called El Paso Nightmare.
Oh, I didn't know.
From last year. And listen to this description.
Please.
It says, slay hordes of vampires, werewolves, and biblically accurate angels in the standalone survival horror FPS side story. This is hilarious. This must have been like a prequel they built for El Paso Elsewhere.
It looks like that's an
Paso-verse.
first person.
They have an El Paso verse.
Yeah, El Paso verse.
But the idea that they put in biblically accurate angels just makes me chuckle. Like I love that they included that. That is so funny to me.
That's awesome.
If you're referring to Old Testament, aren't they terrifyingly described in that?
Yeah, they're terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
It's just funny that they included that
game
phrase.
is a first-person shooter. I don't know what the pacing is, if it's like Quake or Doom, or if it's more like something else.
I don't either.
But Elsewhere is definitely like it had that Max Payne element that Kyle and I were both like, we have to play this game.
Yeah. It's just crude. Like there's no detail on anybody's faces.
Yeah.
You know. It's just crude.
It reminds me of like a sharper GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Like that Agent 64 game that's coming out soon. They are 100% ripping off GoldenEye, but I can't wait for it.
Right. Yes.
That demo was so fun from last year when I tried.
They showed a new trailer of it, and it was like the end of the trailer. The button on the trailer was a 4-player split screen, and they were all doing slappers. And I'm like, see, it's literally GoldenEye.
There we go.
Literally GoldenEye.
Slappers.
This developer is wacky, man. They go for real strong vibes in their games.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know.
They have one called. I'm just looking at their game list. There's not very many, but they've developed a few. There's one called An Airport for Aliens Currently Run by Dogs. That's the title of the game.
That's title of the year.
And it looks so because it looks like a Minecraft N64 world, but it has pictures of real dogs.
Yeah, I was like, these are pictures of real dogs.
It looks so stupid.
That's so funny.
It's got like a 91% positive rating.
That's fantastic.
That's all right, and their
meme game. I love it.
Their other game that came out with that same year, this is both 2 years ago, is Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator.
Wow. What a mouthful.
And you actually buy, sell, and trade organs in a strange and evolving universe.
Actually, that sounds familiar. That one sounds familiar.
I think it's been on Steam sale a few times. That's probably why.
I think so too. Sci-fi body horror market tycoon.
Market tycoon.
Sick. All right.
Wow. All right.
I love that
support your small devs, everybody.
Yeah, dude, these guys are
where
so
else are you getting
fun.
weird stuff like this anywhere, you know?
And Elsewhere is like definitely like the comedy is like that, where it's like it's not obvious, but there are some things that are happening in it that like, oh, this is like a parody or a spoof on. Like the radio show is called, isn't it just called Drug Cop or something?
Yeah, Pill Cop.
Pill Cop.
I think.
Yeah.
Pill Cop.
And it's literally just the Max Payne
and that's
story.
what you are. You're a cop who's on a lot of pills.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's just like, and your character will even go, "Oh, I love this show," and I'm like, "The show's about you, dipshit! Like, what do you?"
Dude, this sunshine.
Yeah, it's just very self-aware and funny.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my word, Pill Cop is.
It reminds me of
hilarious.
Baseball Bat Boy from Max Payne. You know,
I don't know
Baseball
why,
Bat Boy. You know.
Yeah, baseball. Dude, for some reason, the idea of it not even being Drug Cop, but specifically Pill Cop, is just kills me. That is so good.
Yeah.
Pill Cop's even better. Yeah, I was like, you know what?
My gosh,
Drug
All right,
Cop's not good enough.
That is added to the wish list. I'll take a look at it after we record. It's only $18. I mean, it's normally 20, so it's a couple bucks off right now. I mean,
grab it on a sale for sure. Yeah.
Fate Samurai Remnant is out.
Yeah.
Anybody played that one?
I did. Yeah. This was my surprise. So I had heard about this game a few times over the year, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I got my hands on it, and it actually feels really good." And I'm like, "Okay."
It looks cool.
Samurai game. The samurai game with like good, with good feeling combat, but I kept on ignoring it. And then it came out to like an 82 Metacritic score, like great reviews, really positive. I think it's based off an anime. I've never heard of it.
It's Koei Tecmo,
so it's the Fate series, right? Is it the
Fate Stay Night or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it. Apparently, it's like lots of visual novels, lots of anime shows and movies. I've never seen it, but. You don't need to know about any of that stuff to play this game, is what every review said. It's like it's its own sequestered off story with its own characters and everything like that.
Good.
And it is just a samurai game that takes place during like late Edo Japan. So like
strong anime styles here.
Very strong anime styles. Some like really fantastical stuff starts kind of seeping in where it's about like these like 9 combatants who are all fighting for this thing called the Holy Grail, and if you win it, you get a wish or something.
That's a common thread. That's a thread.
Yeah, I think that's what they're like every story in the Fate series is about. But yeah, it's super cool.
Is there like Lancer and they're like characters? Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. I saw a character named Lancer and Ryder and whatever. But
okay.
and like these, it's about like these guys who can summon, like they become like they're able to summon like historical, heroes throughout time or whatever, and they embody like this body or whatever, and so like you and your servants, if you will, are trying to win this tournament or whatever. But I haven't gotten any of that stuff. Right now it's really just a samurai game where you're just walking around like a Yakuza like city, where like kind of like how that map is set up, where you're just like wandering to people with like things over their head, and they'll give you a side mission. And it's open world in that way. It's a Koei Tecmo game, so there's some like Muso like elements.
I was just gonna say it has a Muso vibe with some of the gameplay.
Yeah. But this is like their first action RPG. It's not a Muso game. Like it is an open world like action RPG.
Dude, this is sneaky. This is coming out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh damn, I kind of.
Dude, yeah, that's like how I felt. I thought Dan would probably be the.
Well, I've watched Fate Stay Night and Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. I've only seen 2 of the because there's multiple of them.
Fate's considered like one of the greats, if you will. So
yeah, because there was one that came out of like early 2000s, and then they like almost, I think it's like they redid it, and like that's the better version. But like I actually really, and like the music's actually pretty phenomenal too. But yeah, I think it's like there's basically like different like timelines or like something like that. I forget. It's
cool.
It's quite convoluted, but
yeah.
But it's still cool.
In this one, you're playing as Musashi Miyamoto's like bastard son or whatever, and like you're like living, and like it's really character driven. So like your character is already reading shades of like, I'm never going to live up to my, father or whatever, or grandfather, or whatever Masashi Miyamoto is. So it's like a lot of imposter syndrome stuff going on. Everyone, oh, you're related to him, you must be really great. And you're like, I don't know. And like it's really character driven. I like my 2 hours with it. I think 60% of it was like dialogue. And it's all in Japanese, so you're gonna be doing some reading and stuff like
these
that.
These characters look so cool.
Dude, it's super cool, man. Yeah, the art style's super cool. The character models are super cool.
Oh, you can pet cats. You can pet a cat, guys.
You can pet a cat. There's actual missions where it's like, go pet that dog. Like I literally did a mission today. That's like, hey, that dog looks sad. Can you go pet him? I'm like, yeah. And then you get experience for it. Are you kidding me?
What?
Game of the year.
Game of the year, right?
But it's one of those things that was just really surprising to me that like I had heard about people really enjoying their hands-on time with this game for about a year now, but I was just kind of like, whatever. It looks like it's based off of an IP that I have no thing to, like, no attention to, which it is. But after it started getting such good reviews, and people like, don't sleep on this game, like if you like action RPGs, if you like samurai stuff, and you like big dumb fantasy stories, with like that are really character leaning, like get this game. And I'm like, whoa, check. I like all that stuff. So yeah, I picked it up, put 2 hours in it. Really, really, really enjoying it. I definitely needed another 40 or 50 hour RPG on my plate.
Yes, you did.
I needed one. I just got one off,
so
I needed another one on.
Real.
But yeah, I'm really excited. It kind of feels a lot like Tales too, Dan, in terms of just how like talking heads, like that's a lot of the cutscenes. And then like when it dumps you into the open world, that stuff is very Tales like, just the way that the pacing is and how you're interacting with the world. And
was it just the talking heads, or are there like kind of like regular?
No, there's cutscenes too. There's fully animated cutscenes. There's in-engine cutscenes. It is a very pretty game
like
that delivers its story in a very pretty way.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you'd really like it. This is one to grab on a sale. I got it for $60, but like, and I'm happy with it. But like, this is a steal at like $40 or whatever.
I'm sorry, 40? Did you say 40?
40? I thought it was 60.
No, I said this is a steal if you get it on sale for 40.
Sorry.
Yeah. And Koei Tecmo games do go on sale a lot. So
yeah, they do. Imagine... Yeah, I mean, come Black Friday, this game's going to be hella on sale, and that would be a good time to grab it. Just to I don't know, alleviate some of the pain on the wallet. But yeah, man, this is a really good game, and I'm really enjoying the combat and really enjoying the music and really enjoying everything about it. So it's a major, huge surprise for me.
It sounds
again, it wasn't even on my radar, even kinda. So
yeah, it sounds on par with the quality of the 2 seasons I've watched. But dude, yeah, just the aesthetic, the actual like style of the characters, like it's just
you're very on board.
I didn't even know. Yeah, I know I saw this on the PlayStation Store. I was like, oh, Fate, because I know the anime, but like I don't think on the PlayStation Store it really showed like good images of the game, so I didn't even really like pay attention. But now I'm like Googling it. I'm like, oh.
Well, I mean, like every year you get like a crappy Demon Slayer game or a crappy, this insert popular anime here game, so it's easy just to be like, I'm not gonna play that, that's just it's just gonna be another crappy IP game. This one's really good, I'm surprised by how good it is for an IP anime game. So
that's awesome, love it. There's a game that has, how games these days, especially on Steam, they won't put out an official demo. Sometimes they'll put out like a opening chapter or a prologue that's free. It's basically the demo, and so I see that a lot. There's a game coming out next year that I've had my eye on called Storm Edge, and they just put out their little prologue called Wind of Change. It's like the first chapter of this game called Storm Edge. Super cool. It reminds me of Mage Seeker just in terms of like the visuals and the combat style. If you liked that game, I know Jeff, you played that for a little bit this past year, Mage Seeker. So I think Storm Edge looks pretty cool. It's got that super high quality pixel art look like Mage Seeker did, where it's like pixelated, but still the animation and the colors just really pop. So recommend Storm Edge. I've got the opening chapter downloaded to give that one a try. I just know it looks good. I haven't played it yet, but I know it looks really good. Don't forget about Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest, The Adventures of Dai.
What is this game?
I think that's
how is that the title?
It's a Dragon Quest game for real.
I think it needs to go and die.
But it's like an action game, right? Like it's not turn-based, is it?
I don't know. Good question.
No one. And
when I googled it, Google said you really shouldn't care about this at all.
Did it say that?
That's what Google said.
Sure, guys. The Steam reviews on it are mostly negative. 36% are positive.
Wow. Yeah.
That sounds about
Who would have
right.
seen that coming with a title like that?
So it actually ended up being Infinite Strash. Wow.
Like Infinite
literally.
Trash is all it is. It's just infinite trash.
Wow.
So yeah.
It came full circle and became what it is.
That is a thing that exists.
Maybe that's what the dev was going for. It was like, well, if it's trash, then
I like that.
Living up to the title.
Hey, don't forget about the new DLC for Sonic Frontiers, which is free, by the way. It's called The Final Horizon. And it's nothing to sneeze at, man. You can play as three new characters. Yeah. 3 new characters, new missions, just a whole bunch of new content there that you can download and try called The Final Horizon.
I'm waiting for that game to come down to $20. It's gotten close a couple times.
Yeah.
Dude, it's worth $20. Like
I know. I'm excited to play it, man. Like y'all sold me on just the music, and if everything is insufferable between the music, I'll deal with it.
And it's not. It's not actually.
I know. If it was.
Yeah, dude, that music.
I think I'm gonna really like that game. I've liked all the really bad.
I think you will. That music has
Sonic games.
Like it's actually kind of stupid. What the music being so good.
It's
it is stupid.
That's always been the case. Where I'm like, why is this such a bopper, man? Like,
but
this game.
To be honest, actually, the Sonic series has always kind of had decent good music. Like
well, especially in the 3D game. Well, all of them since all time. I still catch myself
classic
plumbing like classic Genesis Sonic.
Anywhere from good to amazing levels of music in those games for sure.
Yep.
All right, well, that's all I've got for games. So before we talk about a couple new shows and a new major movie, anything else for games that I'm missing that's new this week, or DLC or anything? Not your quick hits, but new stuff. Okay. A couple new shows dropped this week that I know you guys have been watching. Curious to hear your quick thoughts on those. Castlevania Nocturne hit Netflix, and Gen V, at least the premiere of it, is on Amazon Prime. So what do you guys think about these 2 new shows?
Did you watch any Castlevania, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I got 3 episodes.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
Talk about
I really like it. I still haven't even finished the main.
Do you need to finish
it? You don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. It's like 300 years later. So
but you should though.
I should though. Yeah.
And also,
I haven't finished the last 2 seasons either.
The art style is like completely different. Like there's like a kind of like a sheen to the first Castlevania series where it kind of matches what they're doing in like. I haven't seen it, but the Dragon's Dogma one, or like whatever, like the more recent Netflix.
The really good one.
Yeah, the really good Dragon's Dogma one everybody talks about all the time.
Right.
And this one, Nocturne, is more. Nocturne's aiming more for like a '90s cartoon feel. Like it kind of like the character designs kind of remind me of like G.I. Joe and shit like that.
Okay.
Where I'm like,
okay.
but like anime versions of it, where it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just the way that they're drawn, the hard.
I think they're trying to harken back to the actual games, right? They're almost
I think so.
the artwork for the games.
This follows Richter, whatever their last Belmont, and obviously when I say 90s, I mean it's like 2023 in that art style. Right. It's not doesn't look like crap. It looks really good and smooth. Very much an adult animated series because it's very violent, bloody. I dig it so far. I don't have the Castlevania like knowledge or experience. I really
don't either, but I just know like of the characters.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them now because I saw the first 2 seasons of the Castlevania show, and this one is. I mean, it always follows the next ancestor, basically in the story.
Basically.
And it doesn't really matter. Like in the episode that I'm on, something happened related to the family, and I'm like, well, that guy wouldn't be in the other show either, so it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if you know things or not going in. It might help, maybe, knowing that this family's lineage fought vampires forever.
How
many
episodes are there?
8, and it's during the French Revolution, and there are, like, black characters in it, and they mention slavery because that was happening. The slave trade was very active at that time. So they mentioned that a few times, and I'm like, I appreciate them like dropping in this hard look at the actual history that was happening at the time,
right?
And kind of relating it somehow to freaking vampires of all things. So it's quite good. It's not like my favorite show ever, but but also I don't have the people that are nostalgic for this franchise or love these games still, whatever. They're probably gonna love the crap out of this show, I would imagine, much like the first run.
I don't have a deep connection to Castle, but like when I watched those 3 seasons, because obviously I like anime, but it was like this, just like it's an American studio. I'm pretty sure that
it is.
And it's just like clearly that there's love there for what anime is, and they were kind of trying to sort of like have that in their mind, but do their thing, but also take into account Castlevania, which is a Japanese series. So, so it's just it's just so phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So
does Konami get like a credit on the front of these shows?
I've only seen the Netflix tag at the beginning.
I'm just curious.
That is
just
a good
interesting
question,
the way like Konami's one of the easiest targets to say, man, you guys screwed up so much. You could have been so great, but like, there's times that I'm like, they're still kind of sneakily doing some cool things, even though they're fun to make fun of at times.
They're sneaky about it.
Anyway,
they're nowhere in the credits like at all, which is interesting.
Because it is their IP, right?
Yeah. It just says based on the story is just like based on these 2 games from Konami, but they're nowhere in like the production list.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it also makes sense. They kind of were like, "Hey, take our IP and do something cool with it and pay us for it." Like, all right,
they
might be.
They're getting paid regardless.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about Gen V, this boys spinoff? What do you guys think about this?
Oh man, the show is so fun.
This show was great, man.
Yeah, this is definitely. I had concerns going in. I was like,
same.
Like maybe 40% of me was like, maybe this is a CW show. But no, it's the boys, but it's set in college or whatever it is.
Yeah, can we just admit that there's been a lot of like Young Mutants type spin-off shows in the last 8 to 9 years that are not good. Like most of them.
Right. That too. The history of these type of spin-offs.
It was easy to be worried about this one.
Yeah. Especially because the cast, you look on paper, you're like, who are these? I don't know any of these people except for maybe the Schwarzenegger kid. I don't know anybody.
I know him from the staircase. That's the only thing I saw.
That's
funny.
Right.
I was like, oh my god, that's the guy from the staircase. At the end of the episode, I was like, that's Schwarzenegger's son.
Yeah, like, you could see it in his face. You could totally like.
Oh my god, it's literally
straight here.
It's right on.
He looks like young Terminator, like less buff Arnold Schwarzenegger sometimes.
I didn't know his son was acting.
Yeah, he's been in mostly like teen crap that I don't care about, I think, for the most part. I mean, Staircase aside, which is a pretty good show.
I don't think I know him from.
But he plays like he's not Homelander, but he is like an alpha student in the show. He's
Makes
like
his
he's
name is
Human
literally
Torch,
Golden
basically.
Boy, and he is quite in fact the Golden Boy of the school that they're at.
Golden Boy.
Because he's Human Torch, and so basically that's his ability. And the gore and the sex stuff
very
is
gory.
on par. The very beginning,
very smutty and very gory. Yeah.
Yes, the very beginning, the very first scene is you getting the origin story of the main character that you're following, whose name is Marie, I think, and she has a superpower where she can manipulate her blood, and it's about her discovering that power, and it's very messy. It's a very messy scene, very gory. It's a lot. And I was like, oh, this is basically The Boys, but like that's immediately what I knew. This is The Boys.
It's funny because its ratings, it's rated higher than any season of The Boys, any one season of The Boys. Yeah,
that is
actually
weird.
It's actually better. I don't know if I like it more, but just people have received
it's different.
The response
people have received it very, very positively.
Yeah, that's good.
I think it deserves that, but The Boys definitely like I don't know, hit me like.
Well, I like The Boys because, like, you know, it's about like that ragtag group of like badasses. Where it's like this every once in a while, I'm like, oh yeah, these are dumb kids. You know,
these are dumb kids making dumb.
Oh,
kid
look
choices.
at them like doing dumb kid shit. You know, but of course they are. That's the whole point of the show too. Is like, what if you gave hormonal teenagers superpowers, like, and then made it rated R. You know, and like that's what you're getting.
The Boys universe. Yeah.
At least just for me with the Boys show, and I haven't watched Gen V yet. The most captivating thing to me, I love the world, the characters are interesting, and I like kind of the underdog story. But for me, it's all about the terrifying nature of Homelander that makes me so into like what's gonna happen. Like there's something about his character that to me, as much as I hate him, he is the main draw that keeps me like, dude, this show is so good.
That's the thing that's absent from this is it's more of like a mystery show. It's more of like a who is the threat. That's what we're trying to figure out.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
We're starting to understand by episode 3 like who the players might be. But we're still trying to figure out like there are dark secrets at the school and what are they? That's pretty much what it is.
When Homelander becomes unhinged on that show, like I tense up for real. Yeah. Like I'm like, what is he gonna do?
He throws that reporter off that like that building in the third season or whatever. And I'm like, okay, dude,
Starlight,
what?
right? No, by yourself.
He'll do horrible things and he'll look at the people nearby him and he's like, oh, I didn't want to. Like he seems like a normal person. Like when
that actor is just
when he does that to the guy's ears. Do you remember that part?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just kind of it's like, I didn't want to do this. Like you made me do this. Like it's that kind of vibe. That's just terrifying to me, and I love it.
Psychopath dude, it's awesome.
Well, which is why it was so crazy to see him in the Covenant as like a contractor dude with the beard. Who's like,
I know, I almost didn't recognize him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actor's name. Anthony
Starr. Yeah.
Didn't he get like arrested for like assaulting somebody like last year or the year? Like, so he's probably not completely normal in real life either. Like,
I think he was drunk though. He was under the influence of something, and he was saying stuff like, "You know who I am, though, right?" Like, and I was like, "Oh my God, Homelander's coming out!"
He's like, "I will shoot you with my eye lasers if you don't stop."
Right.
Pew! That's what he does. The interesting aspect of Gen V that because it's a younger cast is there's a lot of focus on social media stuff, which I actually enjoy. It's comical, like it's to the point.
Yeah, well, and a lot of that's in The Boys too, because it's all about branding and marketing yourself. But it obviously it means more to the kids because it's a social status thing and they're kids, you know. So like I think that becomes more front and center. So like the actual messaging of the show being about like self branding and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of funnier and more interestingly used here than it is in The Boys.
Yeah, and there's some really cool, inventive, even by today's standards, superpowered people in this. Specifically, the gender bender person. Interesting character.
All right, well, I'll check this one out, and I am curious about the Castlevania show too. I need to go back and watch the original series, do some binging of that. But just to keep us moving for time's sake, speaking of creativity, The Creator is out. This movie looks cool. I'm excited to see this whenever it drops. What do you guys think? I think Jeff, you've only seen it so far.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Okay. Just kind of general overall thoughts on it.
Well, there was a creator in it, and it was a sci-fi movie, and
sure.
You know, there's some robots in it, and
thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Is the creator Jesus?
I didn't see it. No, I'm kidding. I didn't.
I didn't see it.
I'm just gonna talk in generalities, like I didn't see it.
Like you saw the trailer.
But when you mentioned it looking cool, that's pretty much what you're going to think for however long it is, a little over 2 hours. You're going to be like, that looks cool. Oh, and that looks cool. Oh, that looks cool too. The whole movie is pretty breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking. No, but for real, it is.
Hey, listen, Gareth Edwards knows how to film some stuff, man.
He really does.
Yeah. And this is his baby, like through and through. He crafted this story, wrote the script. I'm sure he storyboarded the hell out of this thing because it shows, the attention to detail shows in every shot. And especially in some that are like just a shot of what the world is doing while things could be potentially going to crap. Like he's like a shot of Japan. What's going on there? Oh, there's some androids that are monks there too. And what? Like it's just the whole world.
That sounds pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it sounds so cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The whole world that he built where in the beginning of the movie, you see this montage of like 50s television shows. That's where AI started, dude, in this world. Was in the 50s, and we basically, humanity has been like side by side with AI, up until whatever 2000. The movie takes place in 2040 something, but that's how it starts. Is like that's how it starts. Is like, we're side by side with them, and then a nuke goes off in LA, and that's when the Western civilization says, we're done with AI, we're outlawing it, we're done with it. But the Western, I say the West, I mean us, the U.S. But the Asia, and they're called New Asia in this movie, they're like, no, man, AI hasn't done anything wrong to us. We're still cooperating, and we're still getting along just fine. We're going to keep them around. And of course, America being all America, we're like, that's not allowed. Our laws, what we say goes. They're going to nuke us. And so there's a war that's like just starts, getting out of hand and been going on for years by the start of the movie. So that's like the first 5 minutes of the movie is all that explained to you. Like, nice. And there's a weapon that humans have developed that's like just hovers in the atmosphere, and it's called Nomad, and it's an abbreviation for something I can't remember. The D stands for defense. That's all I can tell you. But it basically is like, it just nukes. It just sends nukes at will, like from the sky. And it just hunts people down, hunts AI down. It has a targeting system that can uniquely like identify AI signature or Android signatures and stuff. And so that's like the main bad thing, I guess, entity. But obviously there's more nuance and like who the bad guys really are and stuff like that. And this whole conversation about consciousness and what it means to be human and yada yada, stuff you've heard before in sci-fi movies, but the visuals and like the production design and like even the characters are, I think, the main few that you focus on are really well written. John David Washington, I can't think of a better performance than this one. Like, he's so good in this movie.
Yeah.
And then the little girl that was played, I think her name's Alfie in the movie, that he's kind of like alongside or whatever. She puts in kind of like remember early Haley Joel Osment and how everybody was like, I can't believe this kid. He's amazing. That's what it reminded me of. She was that good. Like, I was just like, oh, this is like the next big actor. Okay, gotcha. Like, that's really cool. But the only thing holding it back for me was like, sometimes there would be certain lines that were spoken that I was like, he didn't need to say that. Like, I get what you're doing. Like, they would like out loud say the thing that the movie's trying to project at you. And I'm like, you don't need to tell me that. Like, sometimes the dialogue would just be a little cringe in that regard, where it's like they're spoon feeding the themes to you sometimes. But if that's the only knock, I mean, and the fact that you've seen a sci-fi story about AI before, like, it's still a really, really good movie. Like, it's to me at least. Some people have been a little more lukewarm on it, in at least my circles, because they're just kind of like, well, it's not that original. But literally, just open your eyes and watch the movie, and you'll see something original every 10 seconds or whatever. Like, it's just the world that he's designed is so insanely cool to look at. Like, I just don't get this whole, well, it was okay. Like, when the movie,
I love when people say that something's not original. It's like, all right, we'll come up with something original then.
Yeah, I know.
You're so quick to be like, well, that's not original. It's like, all right, cool. So go make something.
Yeah, and also there were people that were like, well, and then the ending doesn't really make sense. The characters just doing things were dumb. And I just don't. I'm like, when you see the ending, we'll come back and discuss it. But like, I was trying to like, how else would you have done it? Like, I just don't understand. If you're a character in that movie in that moment, how else would you have done what they did? I just don't. Whatever. That's. Some people are just like, so like, I can't stand when people go, well, I wouldn't have done that. Like, you don't know. You don't know that.
Yeah, you're not in that moment dealing with XYZ thing.
Exactly. It's a fight or flight situation. You don't know that. It's supposed to be an instinctual thing, not a thing that you think out in advance.
Well, and to bring that full circle, Haley Joel Osment was also in some episodes of The Boys. So there you go.
Oh.
He's a great comedic. He turned around into a great comedic actor. Like, I mean, he was always a great actor.
He found his place, and you know what I mean. Like, and that can be really tough for these. I think for these people who are super famous as kid actors, like so recognizable, and then when they grow up, they're kind of like, where do I fit? I should be the leading person, right? And I think he really found like, no, I shouldn't, but I've got a really important role I could play.
I don't think it was until Comedy Bang Bang that I was like, oh, he's really funny.
He's very funny.
Yeah.
He was in that show that I don't think a lot of people watched. It was that Michael Douglas show, The Kaminsky Method, which I thought was kind of fun and charming. And he's in that too in a number of episodes. And I was like,
I watched like 2 episodes. It wasn't for me, but I mean,
it's not amazing, but it's just got a lazy charm to it. I liked it.
Yeah.
By the way, one more quick game that came out this week that everyone should play is called Pizza Possum. Live your ultimate possum dreams in a snackable, chaotic arcade game focused on eating as much food as you can.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like the Goose Game, except it's more frantic.
I would love to know how indie developers just like brainstorm this crap. It's just so. What have they not?
Drugs.
Drugs. Thank you. Drugs.
If you're seeing the cover,
pill developers.
If you're seeing the cover art of it, they're on drugs.
Yeah, they're definitely on drugs. Pizza Possum. So there you go.
I love this. That's pretty possum.
Oh, there you go. Thank you for that. All right, guys. Let's move on. Kyle's about to move on from this whole podcast if we don't change topics. All right. So, Game of the Year watch. We have finished quarter 3. This is officially the last day of the third quarter. We are heading into the home stretch of 2023. So what games are in the running for your top 10 right now? And maybe nothing's changed. Maybe you're like, hey, the games I'd already mentioned are up there. Has anything been added? Are things shifting around a bit? How's your Game of the Year list looking? We'll start with you, Dan. How are things looking for you? You don't have to tell me like what you're ranking things, but what games are kind of
Dan doesn't.
These are on my short list.
He's above ranking things.
I know.
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
Operates in life.
Pizza Possum is pretty high up.
That's gonna be high now.
And Squirrel with the Gun. It's Pizza Possum, Squirrel with the Gun.
There's Wizard with a Gun too, isn't there? Like it's
Wizard with the Gun.
The With a Gun franchise is just
everyone's got a gun, guys.
Everyone's got a gun. That's the ultimate game. Everyone has a gun.
Yeah.
That sounds like a hilarious game.
It's the Texas Universe game.
Guys, I think we just became indie developers.
Everyone has a gun.
Everyone has a gun. But coming 2026.
But it's a life simulator. You just don't know at any point anyone in your life could pull out a gun because everyone has a gun.
He's got one. Someone in the game pulls one out. There it is. He's got one.
He's got game over. I just got shot. Okay.
Everyone has a gun.
All right.
Oh my
Jesus. Man, I mean, geez, all right. So, trying to think real quick of all of the games that have come out this year, and we're not even.
Would it help if I listed some of mine since I put you on the spot, and then you can?
No, because you have links here, right? Oh no, that's preview. Never mind. All right. Well, Final Fantasy 16, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. I'm finally playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm only maybe 3-ish, 4-ish hours into it. It's like, all right, this is pretty amazing. This is kind of amazing.
It's kind of immediately amazing, which is
exactly.
Yeah.
Immediately list breaking.
Those CG cutscenes are pretty breathtaking.
You see dragons immediately.
Yeah. Dragons
not so much, but the dragons.
You get to some dungeons though. Don't worry.
Yeah, I got later, but not
2.5 hours in. I was like, oh, this is a dungeon. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Depends on how much you're wandering around, right?
Check. And I uninstalled the game after that. I was like, I got what the game was doing. So.
Oh, so you stopped right there? Okay.
Yeah.
So Starfield is fun. I don't know where that would probably right now. I'm thinking that would be closer to the bottom of the top 10, but it's still not.
Oh, but
it's not a bad video game at all.
That's cool.
People are being just a pile of strash about that game. That's what people are being.
Infinitely,
infinitely, infinitely strashy. But that one's really fun. Once I've kind of because at first I was all right, I'm trying to figure out because I think I just wasn't figuring out that if I approached a planet, I could actually just click whatever it is. I'm more used to it. PlayStation controller, but it's A, right? Wherever X is.
I think so.
It's A, right? Yeah. So you hit A on the planet. It's like, oh, okay, I could just go right at the planet. I kept thinking I needed to go into the menu, but then real quick I realized, oh no.
I feel like things start feeling better once you learn that. I'm like, okay. I mean, it doesn't feel great, but it feels better.
Yeah. Exactly. Once you actually realize what all the options are of traversal, how to click on things and what you can, then it's just I mean,
I guess that's the learning curve everyone was talking about, in the reviews.
Yeah.
Just when you're, I get that there's shortcuts now. Okay, so this has become a little easier, but still obtuse,
Yeah, because again, I said it before, and I still feel this way. Pie in the Sky, taking No Man's Sky and Starfield and mushing them together would be the ultimate that would be the ultimate thing, but that's not what this is, and it's fine. I accept that. So, but it's still really fun. What was it? Resident Evil 4 remake was pretty excellent.
Yeah,
that's pretty excellent. I haven't even. I mean, the Ada Wong DLC just came out.
I plan to play that. Yeah,
I haven't played that yet. So,
yep.
I mean, Sea of Stars, like, I mean, an homage to some of the like the best classic RPGs of all time. I mean, Chrono Trigger and I mean, Super Mario RPG is like up there for me. That's not like on par probably with a lot of people to Chrono Trigger, but it's really important to me. So, I mean, Sea of Stars is amazing. What a story there. There's like a lot of there's some emotional stuff in that story.
That's
you just don't think
and
about
that's what
that.
Jeff was saying too. Yeah.
Yeah, with a pixelated game. I don't know. I guess I think some people just don't feel that way with pixelated games. Like, oh, that's a cool art style, but it just didn't really because it doesn't have the voice acting. It doesn't pull at my heartstrings.
Well, that's usually me too. And then like as the game kept going, I'm like, oh man, how do I care about this? Like, it's just crazy. The game sucked me in.
I care about these.
Yeah.
Dude, I cared about Garl like immediately. I was like, this guy is fantastic. I love this dude.
Save this guy's other eye.
Yeah, when he reappears and starts making you food, I was like, BFF.
Yeah.
We all need a Garl in our life.
We all need a Garl.
That's right. So the Garl. So those are some of the ones that come to the top of my head. I know there's probably others, but yeah.
All right, Jeff. What about you? What are some of the games that are floating around your brain as you think about best of the year?
I still have. I'm sure this will change as I get more time in Baldur's Gate 3, but I still have Final Fantasy 16 as my number one overall.
Oh, okay.
I still absolutely love that game to pieces. Jedi Survivor, Hogwarts Legacy, I still love the crap out of those. Baldur's Gate 3 is definitely in my 10. Sea of Stars is surprisingly in my 10. After beating it, I was like, yep, I love it. And then I watched I had to watch the true ending because I just couldn't find the time to do all
time.
those.
Yeah,
the Rainbow Conches is the dumbest part. Put a patch in, remove that as a requirement. That's so dumb to me. But the fact that you have to find 40-something conches to get the true ending is so dumb. But anyway, I watched the true ending and I was like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
that would have been so cool.
So good. And the last fight is like looks impossible. Like I would probably rage quit right there. The true final fight, I should say. But immediately, like the first 2 minutes into the true ending, I'm like, oh my god, this story is so. They put so much care into this. That game is just incredible. I did beat it. I think last week when I talked about it, I hadn't beaten it yet, but now I have beaten it. The game is truly incredible. And I saw somebody in the group post something about it being the combat feeling a little repetitive, but I think that really mostly depends on what you're choosing to do, because you unlock more combos.
More characters.
More characters. Like at some points you have 5 or 6. Like you can swap to.
Dude, there's a Final Fantasy 10 element to it, and I know that because you've not played 10.
Right. Yeah, Jeff, I haven't played most games that are like this. Yeah.
Yeah, but like swapping in the characters on the fly in combat, which is a very Final Fantasy.
When any game does that and it doesn't take a turn, that's a 10 out of 10.
Dude, that and the combo. When the character that you want to combo with is not in the battlefield with you yet. It'll just be like, do you want to swap with this person or this person? Because you can only max 3 people. So like, it'll just automatically, instead of making you pick somebody that just went or whatever, they don't care. They're just like, just pick one or the other. And those combos are just so cool. Like at some points towards the end of the game, I was just comboing all the time. Like I barely did main attacks, except to do a power up from like the leftover the jism that they expel whenever you hit them. I don't know what you want to call it.
What other games? You got it. What other games? What other games?
Anyway.
Sea of Stars.
Anyway, Sea of Stars. Octopath Traveler 2 is still really high for me. God,
oh my god, I forgot about how the hell did I forget about that?
It doesn't count. You didn't say it. Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
You hate it.
Doesn't count, dude.
I hate RPGs.
Hi-Fi Rush. I need to go back and beat that, but that game left such an impression on me.
It's so fun.
I love that game. Diablo 4 I still have in there, even though I'm kind of done with it. But those first few weeks that I was really into it and playing it nonstop socially
all
and
four
solo,
of you guys loved it.
I just had so much fun, but I have just like almost no interest going back right now.
But you also did stop looking at it 2 weeks and looking at it as the over 100 hours you put into it.
Yes.
That's it. Like, what other game did you spend over 100 hours in this year? Yeah, I think that thinking of it as a 2-week popularity is a trap. I think it's a mental trap.
You're right.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah,
I would.
You gotta think
at
about
this
the
point,
amount of time
I would.
you put into it.
At this point, just based on how I feel about it now, and this could just be recency bias, Cocoon may end up in my 10 somewhere. I think it's between that and like maybe Maybe Bramble. But anyway,
trying to sneak like a fun little indie that you enjoyed this year.
Kind of, yeah, and also the one I just end up kind of coming away loving the most. But
make sure you tell Derek, because Derek loves indies. So.
And the last one I want to mention,
both of those are great, though.
The last one I want to mention is a surprise for me, much like Octopath and Sea of Stars. It's Theater Rhythm, dude. That game,
so good.
I played so many dumb hours.
I love that you loved that game.
Yeah,
it makes no sense that I love these games that are clearly designed for nostalgia.
Right,
literally,
they should be like Final Fantasy fanboys just diving into this kind of thing, right? And Jeff's like, I love it.
And this is like a double dip. This is a double dip game too. So like this is basically just the one that was on the 3DS like not too like a few years ago.
Oh,
it's like it basically okay,
which is more tracks, right?
More tracks maybe.
There's definitely more,
more features,
and they're gonna put 16 stuff in there too.
And I don't feel bad about putting that in my 10 anywhere because it's one of the highest rated games of the year on Metacritic, so I don't feel that bad at all.
Yeah.
Kyle, what about you? What are some games that are floating on your head when you think about best of the year so far?
Zelda's still up there for me. 16, obviously. Jedi Survivor. New stuff that's entered on. Recently, Starfield's very high for me. Boulder Gate 3 very high for me. I still have Diablo 4 on there. Remnant 2 more recently. It's on there for me.
Yeah.
Stuff that's fallen off, which is crazy. This is the stuff that makes me crazy. Is the stuff that I'm already sacrificing.
Yeah,
and we're not done yet. Like I guess we're gonna talk about what's coming here later, but like
we are.
Like something like Fire Emblem Engage, which I put 68 hours into, it's off, and I love
that crazy.
That game.
Yeah.
You're gone, buddy. Yeah,
you're gone, buddy.
So stuff like that. Even little games like I want to sneak on like Hogwarts was on there for a while. That fell off sadly for me. Other stuff like Dead Space might fall off. Sorry, Gaston, that might fall off for me soon. I love that. I love that game so much. It's so good. But like things are getting cut. Things are getting slashed left and right here. Like Darlings.
He's gonna be mad even though he hasn't played most of the games that we've already mentioned.
Whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, he's playing Crash Team Rumble, so I mean, he's at least playing that.
Yeah. I'm happy for you, buddy.
But you said
good way to
Space,
word that.
So I think Kyle, you get the Gaston Award for the week. You're his favorite.
There you go.
Yeah,
the fact that you called it out
I just slashed Dead Space. I'm probably dead to him right now. So
he has no space.
Sorry, buddy. I love.
But at least
game.
you mentioned it. No one else mentioned it.
The takeaway is that it's an amazing game. It just it might fall off next. It's down at 10 right now. But Resident Evil 4 is the same way. Resident Evil 4 Remake is one of my favorite games I played this year. It is in 9th place right now. Like it might get knocked off when 2 more good games come out, which they are. Yeah, they're very high.
By the way, spoiler alert, that's happening this year.
So like things that I thought they were up in my top 3 for the first half of the year, they've dwindled all the way down, and not because of like I played it a while ago, it doesn't have the same hit for me. It's just getting buried by just amazing games. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Sea of Stars could get back on there. It could get on there for sure, just because I haven't played enough of it yet. But that's got like every ingredient to hit the list to bump something else off. So, and there's a couple other like that too. Payday 3, you're not on the list because you're not allowed to be. You're broken. It's very fun though. But
I think one that I would have loved to have been able to include, but it's like there's no shot it's going to make it at this point is Oxenfree 2, because I think I'm the only one that beat that, and like that game is such an improvement on the first game. It's so good.
I liked the first. Yeah, I just haven't played this one.
Yeah, it's a shame that these ones that would normally be on a top 10 list any other year.
Totally. Convergence 2 would be on my list too. Yeah. But it's like where do I have room for indies at all? Like I have room for 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So you guys mentioned most of the ones that are kind of floating around my list these days. You guys mentioned like Jedi Survivor and Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Tears of the Kingdom. Like those are certainly like top of mind of. Was this my favorite game?
We should just make the list now and and then just revisit it.
Impossible. I can't. I couldn't rank it if you forced me to.
No, not rank it.
Spider-Man's not out yet.
I just mean those 5 games are going to be in the conversation regardless at the end of the year.
They're going to have to be. Yeah,
absolutely.
Some of them just based on how the 5 of us have such different opinions on these things. Some of them will be lower on the list, but that's going to be
the most fun or painful part of the conversation is like how we all feel so different.
Should be fun. You know why?
Some of us feel very different about
because
some of
these
the
lists don't
games.
matter. That's why it should just be
true.
These lists don't matter. But then some others, you guys mentioned some of these too, like Resident Evil 4. Certainly, like Kyle said, this was like, oh, I think this is my favorite game of the year, and then it's kind of like slid down the list.
Gosh.
Hi-Fi Rush was sitting up there for a while. Hogwarts Legacy, Metroid Prime Remastered. Gaston, you and me, buddy, huh? Metroid Prime Remastered.
Now you're his favorite.
Yes.
Tell him, hey, what's your take on Dead Space?
I haven't played it. Lies of P, which I'll talk about in the quick hits at the end. I've been playing a lot of that, and it really is excellent. But then there's a bunch of smaller games that I almost have like a separate list because I feel like it's unfair to them to try to fit them into a list like this. So I've got Cocoon, Sea of Stars, Dave the Diver, Dredge, and Bramble the Mountain King, all kind of in their Mage Seeker. These are all kind of living in their own little capsule by themselves. Like
that's like put them. I would say that's most of my honorable mentions.
Is those like kind of games? Yeah, but for real, I've put probably 30. I think I'm at like 30, probably close to 35 hours in Dave the Diver.
Wow.
It's so fun.
I would not have guessed going in that game was that long.
And it is neither would I.
That game is so awesome.
And it's got such a dumb title, but
it lives up to the dumbness in a way.
Yeah,
you know?
It works. Yeah. And man, I just can't get over the super cheesy kung fu style scenes when any character is gonna upgrade anything, whether it's like a dish or your gun. Extra. Or when they bring in these like special guests to taste your food, and they'll taste it, and all of a sudden they'll have like these rainbows or memories of them as a child that'll just start like kicking in. Like it's wonderful.
This is
so
totally going to be the Stray of this year, where it's like it'll keep showing up, and even though it's great, we like it. It'll be that one title that sneaks into Game of the Year nominations, and we're all going to be like,
probably, weirdly, I bet you're right. Like, I bet this game does get a Game of the Year nod. Weirdly,
yeah, I think it does. It's so fun
from the Keeley Awards.
It's so good. Yeah. But then stuff like Dredge, which I played the demo and thought, meh, but then I actually played the whole game and I couldn't stop. I finished the game and I loved it. And then on Jeff's recommendation, played Bramble, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. So anyway, there's been so many good ones, even that we maybe even haven't mentioned. Some surprises too that have just been fun little side games. Like for me, and I don't mean this as an insult at all, but I thought Theatrhythm to me was kind of like a really fun side game I didn't expect to enjoy, but I spent a decent amount of time playing that. Like Renfield, Bring Your Own Blood. Where'd that game come from? That was really fun. This little kind of Vampire Survivors knockoff, but in the Renfield universe. That was a good time. Convergence, really awesome side-scrolling game.
That game is amazing.
I actually started getting kind of stuck at a certain spot where I kept dying, and I was like, I'm gonna circle back to this, and I still haven't. Because it does get pretty.
And that's another one that's not that long. Like it's like
right
5, 6. I don't know. Whatever. It's beatable. That's what I'm trying to say.
And let's not forget AEW Fight Forever. Our No Mercy knockoff. That's a good time.
Yeah, that's fun. I actually, because obviously I'm a wrestling fan, and I was like, I had both wrestling games that came out this year in my list at one point, and I was like, yeah, but if I wanted to play one right now, it'd be Fight Forever. That's the one that has the battle royale mode, and it's so stupid. You ride around golf carts and horses everywhere.
Yep.
So dumb. Yeah. So yeah, good shout out.
If THQ could figure out a way to remaster some of their old N64 games, or at least team up with Nintendo to put them on the Switch online service or something like, and I know that there's too many licenses involved. I totally understand it. I just kind of wish there was a way for them to do that. I would absolutely love it.
Totally agree.
But anyway, so guys, there's been a lot of great games this year already, but there's even more on the way. We are on the brink of diving into October. So let's talk about, oh, by the way, real quick, if OpenCritic were to shut down its ratings as of today, we'd have a number of ties. First place would be a tie between Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom. I would have no qualms if they gave out two Game of the Year awards. But like, if Jeff Keighley's Game Awards are like, we're actually splitting it and giving it to those two, I'd be like, all right,
that makes sense. Yeah,
that's fine with me.
I can't decide.
Street Fighter 6 would be in third place then, since those two are tied for 1 and 2.
Wow.
And then you've got 4 through 6 is a tie between Sea of Stars, Dave the Diver, and Hi-Fi Rush. And then 7 through 9 is a tie between Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, and Pikmin 4, the much forgotten game of the year. And then you've got Theatrhythm, Final Bar Line, and Starfield sitting at tied for 10th place.
If that were just the list, like these are all the best games that came out this year,
I couldn't be mad at it.
That's still like the best.
Yeah,
that's still a pretty good year,
Like I like 8 of those games, I was like, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about right.
Like Pikmin 4 and Street Fighter 6 will probably not even be brought up as like, but these are going to be contenders for our personal list.
Right.
Yeah, not for us. Yeah.
But yeah, like even aside from that, I was still
they'll
like,
both get moved over in that initial round of we should at least mention this and talk about it.
Right.
But neither one will make kind of our like 20 that we want to whittle down, I don't think.
Right.
But yeah, man, I mean, I'm just glad that there's been not only so many good games that we've liked, but just universally, everyone's talking about 2023 already as like, and Derek said this last week, this is probably the best year of gaming ever.
I think quantity-wise, for sure. Like
quantity
and plus quality.
Look at the quantity
and quality too.
At the level of quality that they're delivering. Number of them is just crazy. That doesn't mean that any game this year is better than the top games from other year. It just means that like overall, holy crap.
Yeah.
What a freaking year. So October is going to add to that tally. Don't worry. It's going to get worse.
Get worse.
It's so bad.
It's going to get so bad.
I mean better. It's going to be fine.
You have to go back.
There's a whole bunch of different lists you could look at to see games that are coming out. So for example, on the games radar list, here's some of the titles that they highlight. We've got on October 3rd, a whole bunch of games hitting. Actually, this first week of October, a whole bunch of games. I'll skip through a few that are just re-releases or stuff I haven't heard of. Feel free to highlight them though for yourself if you guys have those lists open. Silent Hope, which looks really interesting. It's a RPG. I think it's getting in the 70s on reviews, but it looks really interesting.
I'm actually into that one, surprisingly.
Comes out on October 3rd, along with Station to Station, and there's a few other ones too that I saw. Let's see,
High on Life comes out that day too. The DLC for High on Life.
DLC for High on Life, and then Scorn will hit PS5. You can squelch on your PS5 if you want. Yeah. There's a game called Worldless that looks really cool. I love the art style.
Oh, they delayed that around to November, and guess what the reason was?
Too many games.
Yes.
So they moved to November. Yeah, sure.
A noble act.
All right, that's cool. That's good. All right, that frees things up a little bit. Assassin's Creed Mirage hits this Friday on October.
Is that for like a certain thing? Is that for a certain like package of it? Is that an early release date? Is what I'm saying. Oh wow, okay.
Nope.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, so it was scheduled for October 12th, which is the best.
Oh, it got pushed forward. I got.
Yeah,
you.
they were like, "Hey, we're
Yeah.
super done with this game, so we're gonna release it a week earlier." So that's happening.
Because on the 5th, like Forza gets the early. That's why, for whatever reason, I was like, "Oh, are they both doing the early access thing?" But yeah, no, they just pushed it forward. I got you.
Yep, they bumped it up.
I suddenly got excited for Assassin's Creed like 2 days ago. I was like, I really don't care about this game. And like 2 days ago, I don't know what I was watching, but I'm like, it's gonna be a lot of fun. That's gonna be really good.
That's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really good. Also, I think the Lamplighters League, which I don't have on the games radar list, I think that's on October 3rd too, isn't it? Or is that? Let me see. I think it's
a Game Pass. Yeah, it is a Game Pass game for sure.
Which that one looks fun. I thought it was the October 3rd. Did that get delayed?
Strategy for my liking, but no, I think it's coming out. I think it's this week.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was coming up on the 3rd.
Early access though? I don't.
I know it's hitting Game Pass, so.
Yeah, the 3rd. You're right.
And don't forget, Wargroove 2 also comes out this week. It's kind of a surprise announcement and release. Yep. Yep. So that's hitting on October 5th as well. Detective Pikachu Returns. Okay, so Friday.
I'm already tired. 6th. I'm already like, this is too much.
So Detective Pikachu Returns hits on October 6th. So that's the first week.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not that's not counting stuff that I didn't mention. Like I didn't mention like NHL 24. If you're a hockey fan, like that comes out this week too.
Yeah.
All right, the next week we got Forza Motorsport, major exclusive from Xbox, landing on October 10th. We've got Wild Card Football, which kind of looks a little bit like Backyard Football meets NFL Blitz, sort of. It's just got that arcade vibe to it. I don't know if it's going to be any good. It could be garbage. That's October 10th. Total War Pharaoh, if you're a PC strategy gamer, those Total War games, people really love those. That's October 11th. Lords of the Fallen hits October 13th.
So I just learned today that's an Unreal Engine 5 game. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Unreal Engine 5, yeah. Sharp looking game.
It looks great. I hope it feels right. Like those games can live or die on how the combat feels and whether or not
EA got hands-on time with it. They said it felt really good. So
crap.
I was
secretly hoping it was bad.
I'm not gonna get it because it's a Souls-like game, but like everything I've heard about this game sounds extremely good. I'm like, all right, guys.
All they had to do was reboot the game and not change the title.
Yeah,
right.
That's all they had to do. That's it.
Possibly most excitingly, guys, is Skull Island. No. Yeah, Skull Island Rise of Kong.
This game looks so terrible.
It's one of the ugliest modern games I've ever seen. I don't think it's trying to be ugly. Like when games go for a style, like a throwback style, we just talked about some of those earlier in the show, then it's fine and it works. This just looks ugly, and I don't think it's trying to be ugly. Like it's not.
No, I agree. They actually tried, and that's the sad part.
Ooh, it's pretty bad. It's bad that a launched Xbox 360 game of King Kong, based on the movie by Peter Jackson, looks better than this.
Yeah.
And it does. And it does look good. Sonic Superstars hits on October 17th as well, alongside with
incredible. This game looks great.
Wizard with the Gun also arrives on October 17th.
That game is really fun. I played the demo.
With the gun.
It's quite enjoyable.
Yeah. Slender the Arrival arrives on October 18th. And Hellboy Web of Weird or Word. How do you say that?
I think it's Word. I think I saw a demo and I was like, we're pronouncing it Word, and I'm like, yeah, then you shouldn't spell it that way. That's stupid.
So that's October 18th. I know the art style doesn't necessarily ring all the bells for everybody, but we'll see.
The gameplay looks repetitive, but I'm gonna wait and see like what people say about it.
Give it a shot.
I think we skipped over Alan Wake 2. That's on the 17th.
They bumped that back, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah, they did to the 27th.
Oh, I'm looking at the game. I'm looking at the list here. Okay, my bad.
They bumped it. I know some of these lists are outdated for sure. I'm kind of clicking between a few of them.
I just clicked on whatever the link was in the notes.
Let's see here. Gangs of Sherwood looks pretty cool. October 19th. No idea if it'll play well, but it looks pretty fun.
Yeah.
That comes out October 19th, and Gargoyles Remastered also comes out that day, October 19th.
Gargoyles Remastered, like the show, the animated show.
Yeah.
Gargoyles?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a Sega game, and the old Sega game had a cool style to it, and this looks really cool.
Yeah, it's basically just that. Yeah, but remastered.
Nice.
On that same day, I'm so hyped for this, and it's kind of dumb. Forgive Me, Father 2 comes out to early access, and that's like a shooter, much like the one that you mentioned from the same El Paso Elsewhere.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like just silly El Paso Nightmare, I guess, was that game.
Biblically accurate.
Yes, where it's like very silly and like very fast paced and like the second one looks like way better. Still kind of like a retro style, but yeah.
We've got Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 hitting on October 19th.
I hope that's good, dude.
The racer. Let's see. I'm sure I'm skipping stuff. We can circle back if anything I missed. And of course, October 20th, probably the biggest day for me personally in terms of game releases this month.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Brothers Wonder both hit on October 20th. You know what's funny is I actually have a work trip that following week, so I'll be out that whole next week. So I won't get as much Spider-Man 2 time in the week after it releases. I'll play it that weekend, a bunch.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much gonna. All right, I'll play Mario Wonder that whole week then on my Switch because I'll be traveling.
Well,
and I'll have that with me.
I actually unintentionally have Monday through Wednesday off the weekend that it comes out.
Okay,
both those games come out. I was actually aiming to schedule studio time for end of the week after that. And my producer was like, I'm booked those days. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll do Monday, Tuesday. And then I was like, wait, Spider-Man comes out. Like, this is perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's a pretty big one. Skitties, what's going on with me? Cities Skylines 2 comes out on October 24th alongside Just Dance 2024. Yes, guys, Just Dance is coming out again.
Oh, did we talk about this game? Oh, I never heard them say it.
Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 hits October 24th as well.
I finally get to play these games. Okay.
Alongside Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, which is kind of like looks like a strategy survival thing on PC. Comes out.
Oh.
People got hands-on with this too, and they said that a lot of action in this game.
Oh, like, more action than
a lot of action. So it's still all that stuff that like Valheim and those other kind of survival games
building your fortress underground.
There's a lot of murdering monsters in caves for sure.
All right.
You are dwarves. They are battle people. So.
That's right.
But real quick, can we just circle back to because I know Kyle loves Metal Gear. I love Metal Gear. That's like incredibly important. I can't believe that this is finally going to just be much more easily accessible.
Get the chance to play it for the first time ever,
one of the greatest video game series of all time.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Metal Gear is just amazing, dude.
It's okay. It's okay or whatever.
It's okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's all right.
It's okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's trash. It's trash.
So this is the first 3 games, right? 1, 2, and 3, and then some of the Nintendo games too. Like does that include those?
Yeah, it comes with Metal Gear 1 and 2 as well. Yeah.
Like the original.
So it's 5 games. It's the first 2 Metal Gears and then the 3 Solids.
Yeah. And those games are very old and very hard, and I probably wouldn't play them if I were you. But
so if they did a second collection, would that just be 4 and 5 plus any DLC those got?
4 or 5, maybe some of the PSP games. So like Phantom Liberty. Liberty. What am I thinking? I'm thinking.
Isn't there Acid?
Acid, those are the card ones, but like Portable Ops would be one. That's not canon though. But what's the one that was on the Vita? Peace Walker.
Peace Walker, yes.
Would be the one.
Yeah, there we go.
So it'd be Peace Walker 4 and 5.
Revengeance? Would they put Revengeance on there?
That'd be the best ever.
That would be pretty. That would be pretty awesome.
That'd be the best thing they could ever do.
It would be such a cool package if that was in there.
All right, don't forget Dave the Diver hits the Switch on October 26th. It feels like a
sweet
Switch game completely.
I bet that game looks great on the OLED also.
It's got to be a Switch game. I've spent a lot of my time playing that game on the Steam Deck, and that's
where I put all my hours too.
Yeah. Ghost Runner 2 hits October 26th, along with Mineko's Night Market.
Yeah, that's actually that's out now.
It's on PC.
Oh no,
now,
it's out on the Switch. Sorry. Yeah, Switch and PC now. PS5.
And it's hitting the other consoles. Okay, that's why it's listed here. Okay. And then. Sorry, I didn't mean to stump on the excitement for Alan Wake 2, Kyle.
No, I was just looking at the wrong list, that's all.
October 27th is when that one drops.
I actually learned a lot about this game that I was like, ooh, is this not going to be a Kyle game, actually, today?
Okay, all right.
But the same things that worried me about Control, though, like, where it's just hard, you don't know where to go, and you're just going to have to just bumble across things, and I'm like, that's not the way I like the game. But
you ended up loving Control, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I caught on to it very quickly. But so I'm hopeful. But like I heard some stuff today where I'm just like, all right, cool.
Not ready to get lost.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know if I'm ready for its level of. I don't know what it's asking out of me in the middle of all these other games. You know.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this Remedy universe though. So whatever. Just.
Well, and then we have to wrap up the month. Jusant. Where you do the rock climbing, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, I already got that installed.
This game's got a lot of really positive buzz. Like, and a lot of people's like most anticipated October games. This made like top 10 lists for a lot of people.
Yep.
So.
And Don't Nod is finally they're spreading the games out because Banisters got delayed from November to I think they picked February or something like that.
Yeah, just as busy a month, but okay. Yeah,
that's what Derek was saying. He was like, I think February might be worse than November. Like anyway, so December or January would have been better. Whatever. I'm assuming it's not just to get out of the way. They're probably
this whole like public facing messaging that developers. This is the third game to say, well, there's just too many games. We got.
That's what Alan Wake 2 said.
Yeah,
they only
bumped
so
it back. Full of crap. Like
to their credit, they just said it was
QA reason.
At least for Alan Wake, it was just 1 week. So I kind of believe it a little more for them saying
like you guys explore the summer a little bit, like
Yeah,
like,
I know that's usually like a slower time, usually not this month, not this year, but usually. But yeah, Jusant, I already got that installed on the Xbox Series X because it's like you can even pre-install like Persona games already for next year on Game Pass. So I just went ahead and did it. That way, when it's live, it's just load it right up. But yeah, that demo impressed me so much. I'm very into the whole problem-solving aspect of rock climbing because I'll never do it physically, but mentally I want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too much.
At least it was a hit on streaming. Phasmophobia is supposed to hit PS5 and Series X sometime this month.
That's so popular.
It doesn't have a release date yet, but it's supposed to hit sometime in.
Kyle and I have real world experience. This will be perfect for us.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna play this, and I've already recruited 2 other people, so we'll have a full group, Jeff.
Oh, sweet!
That's fun.
Getting it on Xbox.
And Kyle and I will be like, "Oh, we got to use SB7." They'll be like, "I don't know what that is." He's like, "You're a noob."
Don't worry, you just follow my lead.
You're a noob. You guys.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this game. I know that it was supposed to come out in September, but I think their offices burned down or something like that. I forget what the thing was, but yeah, I think an office fire set back like the entire
that would do it.
So.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yikes. Oh, there's a couple others that I missed here and there, like Disgaea 7, which is getting great reviews. Disgaea
is like one of the most beloved series ever.
October
that I just
13th.
Could never get into. Yeah,
it's getting really great reviews.
I don't like the dialogue in the game.
Same here. It's very like edgelord.
Yeah, it's I hate the word cringy. I hate using the word cringy, but that's I think.
Yeah, same. I feel the exact same way, but it's like the only word that actually describes that.
Yeah.
I don't see a whole lot else that I missed that's notable, but the Front Mission 2 remake, which the first one did not review well on the Switch, but the second one is coming out on October 5th as well. And that's pretty much it. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's smaller that I'm sure we'll highlight as we get through the month, but those are the big ones. Hey, there's a lot of money to be spent this coming month, and that will be spent. So I might try to save some money with Assassin's Creed and just subscribe to Ubisoft Plus for October and then cancel it, because I'm assuming I'll be able to play that game in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, get through Assassin's Creed Mirage. I don't know. It's not like it's super expensive. I think it's only $50, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a budget price.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it is. Yeah, they keep on calling it a small experience, even though
Ubisoft needs the money.
I hear it's still 20 or 30 hours. So
Yeah. So there you go. Lots of so many really good games on the way. So very excited for this month, even though a little overwhelmed potentially too by this month. So, all right, a couple quick headlines before we wrap things up here. Red Dead Redemption 2 was listed for Nintendo Switch on a ratings board website. These rating boards, man, they leak everything. And this particular one was a Brazilian ratings board that has successfully and accurately leaked a whole bunch of games before.
Nice.
But yeah, basically, do you want to play Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Switch? I don't, but it could be on the way. I'm gonna assume that Rockstar Games,
sure?
I'm gonna assume when they've put stuff like LA Noire and Grand Theft
cloud
Auto,
game, right? Like if that's a cloud game and Kingdom Hearts 1 isn't, I'm gonna lose it.
It's not a cloud game.
I am gonna lose it.
Kyle's gonna lose it.
You mean I can't play Kingdom Hearts 1 anywhere I want to just because? Like that's the reason, just cause?
You got it. Yeah.
Wow.
Even though a mobile phone would have no trouble playing the game, wouldn't even warm up playing.
There is no game more on earth, maybe other than Metal Gear Solid, that I would want to play on the go because I've played it so many times than like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Like that'd be just let me pick that up real quick and play it on my Switch. No, you can't.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
So crazy.
So yeah, I have no interest in playing a 2018 super high level AAA game, which still is.
I want a next gen version of that
visuals.
Game on consoles. I don't want a downgraded version on Switch.
Exactly. 100% agree. So anyway, but there you go. It's another one of those things where it's like, hey, if your primary place to play stuff is Switch, I'm assuming the Rockstar stuff, LA Noire and Grand Theft Auto, and maybe even the recent Red Dead Redemption release, maybe those are selling really well. Otherwise, why would they keep doing this? So
and if you haven't played those games and that's all you have, please play them. Like I'm sure they play well enough there, and they're some of the greatest games of all time. So why not?
So there you go. Sony got hacked, I think. They're going to launch this. They launched this investigation after this ransomware group claimed to have breached their systems. They're called ransomed.vc, and they threatened to sell a cache of data stolen from Sony.
Should I change my password?
About
this one. Okay.
I mean, do you have the two-step verification at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should be fine.
So that helps.
Those are famous last words, by the way. You should be fine.
Yes. We're all effed. We're all effed in the B.
You said I'd be fine, Tim.
I don't know if this Knights of the Old Republic remake is happening or not, because they're just this roller coaster ride of they announced it in 2021, then they got really quiet and lots of rumors about it. Like we know it's had development issues, right, with who's handling it and all this stuff. Yeah. It's been kind of ugly, and then now there were these videos, like an announcement trailer. There's some stuff that's been removed and like changed to private, so you can't view it anymore. So it's like, what's happening? Well, this guy, who was it that said it? Sony released an official statement about this, saying that it had to do with music licenses expiring. They said it's part of normal business. We delist assets with licensed music when licenses expire. But journalist Stephen Totillo said it's not clear why music for an upcoming game would expire, especially when the music is featured in the trailer was from the Star Wars movies, not licensed externally. So this doesn't make sense. Yeah. So it's like, all right. So who knows, man? I think it's just super troubled development. I'm going to guess even internally they don't know if this game's going to get made for sure or not. That's my guess, which is why
I am suspect that it's ever even been started, to be honest.
That could be true as well.
We never saw footage. We don't know anybody who's seen it. We don't know, like, to me, this is just a theory game. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we made it, though, right?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Well, it's Embracer Group who owns Aspire, who is making.
Yeah, and Aspire is going through. They're getting sued right now because of Knights of the Old Republic 2 was supposed to deliver DLC, the re-release of 2.
Oh, okay.
And then they said, we canceled that. That's not coming out. But that was a big selling point for that game. So a bunch of people rebought it they stripped content from it that was promised, and now a bunch of people got a class action lawsuit together and are so now Aspyr, who I don't even think is attached to this project anymore, it's going through its own stuff. You know what I mean?
And Embracer's not going to be very embracy of that.
Yeah, and Embracer is literally fire selling everybody. Not even just firing. There's no selling even happening.
There's no selling,
firing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just this game's not real to me.
A lot of rumors that Saber Interactive could be taking it over, which
I've heard that
kind of a AA studio that they've done some good stuff, but and
you're giving one of the most important RPGs of all time to another AA studio. You already did this. This is the second AA studio you've given this to.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what would be crazy? I know it's recency bias a little bit too, but just because they took such a beloved license and did something incredible with it, what if a studio like Larian took on a Star Wars project? Not necessarily Coder, but like a team like Larian doing something in Star Wars. And now I know that they're more in like the fantasy setting, right, between Divinity Original Sin and with Baldur's Gate, but I would
if they brought all that over to make a Knights of the Old Republic game, though, that would be the best game ever. And they're AA, right? Do we even know what to?
They're making a lot of money from Baldur's Gate, I would imagine.
But AAA.
If they're
I consider it AAA. I don't know. I don't know what the threshold is. I don't know.
Yeah.
They had like 300 employees or something, right? So I don't know. Is that small for a development studio?
I don't know. Yeah, they've always been pitched as AA to me.
It's small for Epic. We know that. We'll get to that. All right. Hideki Kamiya is leaving Platinum Games, which
that's huge.
That's significant, yeah.
And this is a very strange statement, and I don't know if this is a translation issue or not. So here's a quote that the decision was made after, quote, a lot of consideration based on my own beliefs. So I don't know what that means. Is that just a weird translation? Very well could be, right? It could just be a translation that should read something more like, I've just made this personal decision to move on to do other stuff. All right. I wouldn't even think twice about it. But this one, I'm like, what beliefs? What beliefs do you have that they don't? What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, what are the beliefs? So anyway, but he said he's going to continue to make games and appreciates fans supporting him.
I want to say the N-word more. That's what he means.
That's his belief.
I actually believed in that original voice actress of Bayonetta.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that whole debacle.
Y'all remember that?
Oh, yeah. That was a good time.
Do you think Jim Ryan read that and he was like, damn, he stole my statement for when I was going to retire?
Yeah, I'm going to leave because of my beliefs.
He was trying to type it out, but it was hard with those VR controllers in his hands.
Yeah. Well, what he believes in is VR. He believes it as the ultimate technology is VR. Right. So yeah.
Cal Kestis actor Cameron Moynihan pretty much confirmed that Star Wars Jedi 3 is happening. That he's already working on it, working on a third, in the process of doing that right now. It's a big undertaking. There have been some conversations so far. Hopefully, when all things are said and done, we'll be able to go in and make something really cool. So early planning stages and discussion stages for that, but it's reassuring after hearing the departure of the director, of course, from Respawn. And so that doesn't necessarily mean anything when an actor says we're excited to make this for you. That doesn't mean there's 0% chance it would get canceled. It doesn't mean that, but it just gives me a little more confidence. Okay, they're going to move forward with this. I'm not.
It felt like it would have been a no-brainer to move forward, but at the same time, with Stig leaving, it's kind of like, I don't know anymore. You never know. You
never know.
Hopefully they get the right person,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the Hauser brothers left Rockstar, and we're still getting Grand Theft Auto 6, So I have a feeling we're gonna.
I'm just kidding.
Right. That's touche. You know what? Touche. But I have a feeling a lot of these people's fingerprints are gonna be all over it, anyways, because these things were probably storyboarded or written in some kind of capacity, or notes written down, by these people before they had their exodus,
I would imagine too. Somebody like Stig, who has worked on trilogies before, had it mapped out already.
Yeah,
with a writing team. Here's where
you just get a new director to take somebody else's script. I mean, it happens in Hollywood all the time. So
definitely, and definitely not for the worst ever.
Yeah,
there have been 0 bad script rewrites ever.
Right,
never. It's never happened.
Yeah. Right. Period. End of sentence. End of thought.
Yeah. There we go. No smiling, no facetiousness.
Nope.
So
facetiousness.
Listen,
that's an impossible word.
Good news for Sony players who are pretending to hate Starfield while they secretly were crying that they couldn't play it on their PS5. Bethesda has released a game for you. It's called The Elder Scrolls Castles, and it's on your phone. You can go play it if you have an Android phone. So go.
I've been playing it this whole time.
I'm playing it right now. It looks like Fallout Shelter style simulation game, but in the Elder Scrolls universe with a castle instead of Fallout Shelter. So yeah, but it's only on it's an early access on Android right now. I don't think it's on iPhones yet.
Not even Apple. That's interesting.
Not yet, at least. If it's out now, it might be out right now. But like as of when this was announced, yeah, it wasn't yet. And lastly, I don't know why I saved sad for last. My bad. Epic Games laid off 16% of the staff, or is going to over the next about month or so, which is around 830 employees by some estimates. Some say it's closer to 900. That's a lot of individual people. I think about jobs I've been in. If we were like, yeah, we're laying off 9 people from our team, I'd be like, like it would hit me right in the chest, right? So when you say 800 plus, I'm like, holy crap.
And maybe I'm just ignorant. I don't really know, but how the F does the studio that runs Fortnite not have enough money to pay people?
Yeah, no kidding.
Like I don't.
I was
again,
asking
maybe
the same
there's like
question.
bigger things at play. Like I don't understand all the specifics.
Because they haven't said what the specifics are, right?
How
Like
the heck does a game studio that owns Fortnite not have enough money? Like
here's a quick summary of it. I'm with you. Like as much as I'm trying to like, well, maybe like I don't know. I really don't know.
Let's get rid of our marketing team because we do all of our marketing in games. Let's get rid of. Maybe that's what. I don't know. Yeah.
So he says that 2/3 of the layoffs are in teams outside of core development. So outside of Fortnite and Unreal Engine, which is their core teams.
Oh my God, they own Unreal as well.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
They own
again.
You know how many games use Unreal? All of them.
So it says around, and I don't know if this was not clear if this 250 people, if that's part of the 830. I'm not clear if this is a separate 250, but 250 people are leaving because of its divestitures from Bandcamp and Super Awesome. So of course
so this is part of the Bandcamp, selling Bandcamp to song
I don't
creators.
know. It did not clarify if 250 are part of those 830 or not. I don't know, but that's at least 250. Could be additional, but people are also leaving because of
bad poor investment ideas, I guess. You know,
could be a lot of that.
And also there's companies forecast too for the next quarter, and like they're like, in order to hit these projections, we have to let people go.
Right.
Into increase profits, which is bad.
Yeah, we're entering in the season of like mass firing. So.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a super bummer. Even if you try, and I try to do this a lot, try to put myself in the shoes of the person who's making the decisions at the top. I would hate to do that. I don't ever want to be that person who has to make decisions that would impact so many lives like this. That would
especially
suck.
that many. Yeah,
absolutely suck. But even I'm trying to empathize with that point of view. Like maybe there's something we're missing. Maybe even though the numbers from the outside looking in look amazing, it's not sustainable. Maybe they've got it mapped out to where, hey, in 5 years we're going to be in trouble. I don't know, but all I know is, same thing Kyle said at the beginning. Like there's so much money there. There's really no way for you to like restructure or figure out a way to keep good people on. Like I don't know.
I can't sympathize with them at all. You guys fucked up, so maybe you should put it on yourselves. Sorry, like you at the top are making like an obscene amount of money. Like to be paid to make this, like I'm sorry, I think that including Derek, 5 of us could run a company and make decisions, and I don't think I need to pay myself fucking millions of dollars.
Oh, that's a good point.
Disgusting. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, and this is my own personal views about like people running companies. I think it's just disgusting how much money they get paid,
and then at the end of the day, it's all a pyramid scheme. There's only a few people at the top making that amount of money, you know what I mean? And it just gets less and less and less and less as it goes.
But it's
down,
like it's also a team of people, though, right? So it's not like it's like one guy or woman or person at the top, you know, and then there's a huge gap, huge gap, and then you got managers and soups. No, you have all these freaking assholes making a bunch of money in between too. But then it's like, no, fire all the people at the bottom. Like that's fine.
Right. All the people who actually get the wheels moving and
it
stuff
is
like
wild.
that. Get rid of them.
It is wild to see that.
And they are important at the top. I get that because it kind of like I was thinking about this when this posted, Tim, and when we were having the conversation about crunch, it was you, me, and Derek, and I more leaned like that's bullshit, and you guys were like, but business and blah blah blah, and it's like, I don't know, man, it's just these people at the top, it's like you're being paid so much money to just make decisions, and there is more to it than that, but just to make decisions. And us at the bottom are the gears, the soul, the heart of these companies. And you have the audacity to do this and destroy lives, and inflation is terrible, and like everything's just a mess. And they just, it's like, but yeah, get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Yeah, it's ivory tower personalities, so
it's just infuriating.
They're
it's
safe
just,
up there.
That's what I got to give my last employer, even though they still did shit can a lot of people for outsourcing reasons and whatever. I got to give them props for being indiscriminate about like, oh, you've been here how long? 20 years? Yeah, you need to go. Like they were not really looking at it like we need to get rid of the peons. They
didn't
just
start with recent hires necessarily.
They started with the people that worked there the longest, even directors. Dang. Nobody was off limits. Whereas this feels like we're getting rid of a lot of development people, which
I don't know if that was
the
clarified.
Workers,
was it development?
We'll find out. We'll certainly find out.
I don't think they like classified, but I get what you're saying, Jeff. But yeah,
I'm
I don't
assuming
know
that,
if like classification. Me too. I mean, 900 people, like there's probably a little bit of sprinkled from every department,
Yeah.
But like you were saying, Tim, about restructuring, like I feel like they try to take the easy way out. Why not just sit down and try to think about it in a smarter way? Right. Like, hey,
what if we didn't get a bonus next quarter?
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is that some of these positions, not all of them, maybe not even most of them, are just going to be rehired back on at a much lower price, at a starting price, So, you reset all these people who have been here for a long time. You get those people out of here. You pay someone half the price.
Right.
What a lot of employers love to do is hire them back on as contractors, or just demote them to contractors. That way, they're not on the official payroll anymore, so they don't go towards the projections for whatever the next quarter.
Well, the problem is every corporation is structured to require growth every year, and I understand it, but I think that's the core issue, because if you always have to have growth, even think about Fortnite. Like, I would bet if you look at Fortnite's income, I'm going to guess it's had years that are up and down, even in recent years. Like maybe this year wasn't quite as big as 2022. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't, even though maybe this year it still made more money than anyone ever, and they should have, you know what I mean? So if you're just looking at forecasting, hey, if we got a forecast for 2024,
I think that
we've actually got a smaller amount of money to work with. We got to cut people to get the numbers back up.
Yeah,
it's all about the year-over-year growth.
I think it is the forecast
that season. Then
I think it is a
right. I think that's the core issue: is you have to grow, otherwise they may have to make sweeping changes.
That's the downside of capitalism, right? Because it's this mentality of like, oh, we need to keep making more money. It's like, okay, so I'm sorry. So is this friggin' Game of Thrones where like there's one man standing, like one company's gonna have all of the money, like, like it's almost that mentality of like, well, we have to keep climbing up. And it's like, well, if that's the case, you're just gonna have all of the money, and that's just not realistic.
And that's how monopolies get created, basically. They don't get created out of.
That's where some of the criticisms of Microsoft make sense. They're acquiring all these people, and I'm like, my eyebrows are going up as they keep acquiring. And Embracer Group, my eyebrows are going up. Like, what's Embracer Group doing? So, like, those things are a little disheartening as you see them.
Tencent.
Well, look at
Microsoft,
one. Who just bought all of those studios, and now they're like, hey, if we don't turn a bigger profit by 2027, we're just going to stop gaming. You just bought half the industry.
Dude,
you guys need to figure it out. And we watched EA do this. We watched EA buy a whole bunch of companies and then take them all.
They're doing that Eric Andre thing of shooting somebody and going, why would they do this, even though you're the one that shot them? Like, I mean, you're literally doing it to yourself. Like,
everyone should have their hackles up whenever one company is suddenly buying a whole bunch of things. It is cool, Microsoft needed those tools in their arsenal to fight against Sony's growing list of exclusives. Don't get me wrong. But, like, you should always be worried when you're watching one person make a lot of big moves that are out of characteristic for previous years,
We're spending an unnecessary
we literally just watched Embracer do it. Like, it's happening right now. Their bubbles bursted.
And they're ripping it apart.
We watched one person spend billions of dollars on a social media app that doesn't matter. Like,
dude,
it's insane the amount of stuff like that people will do just to be like, I need more power.
And he did it for social media clout, because he walked into the office with a kitchen sink under his arm. Like, oh my gosh,
it's exciting. You get wrapped up in it. You know what I mean? So suddenly Deus Ex is back on the table, and everyone's like, oh my god, we're getting a new Deus Ex game. And 6 months later, that's not happening at all.
Mind.
That's never gonna happen.
Our embrace ended.
I mean, it absolutely did. But boy, we all got swept up in it there for a little while.
We did.
What's going to happen to Tomb Raider? Like, there's no way we're getting a Tomb Raider game now. Like, they're so focused on getting a Lord of the Rings game out that, like, they can't see beyond that IP, you know. So it's it's something.
It is a bummer. But you're right. That's the trap of something like capitalism, which has a lot of good core values, just like other systems of economical systems have good core values at times. But when taken to the extreme, they're all really dangerous. So it's when you have nefarious actors within these structures, they just screw everything up, man. And it happens in almost every structure. And this is one way that it can play out in a system like this.
And it feels like it's getting worse.
Like, why would Tim Sweeney and his team, it's not just him, I realize that, but at Epic, why would they require such growth each year to match previous year's growth or something? Because like last year was 20%, this year it's only going to be 12. We're gonna have to cut some.
It is wild.
Cut something that way we can get it back up to 20, 21 this
time. And it's and like we were saying, it's a symptom of the system that we're in. You know, the economic system that we're in.
Is getting more narrow. You know,
it is.
And at some point it implodes. You know, at some point it stops.
Because it's not just an Epic Games problem. Because every company has to forecast. We're gonna have record profits. It's gonna be huge. So I mean, my company. I'm in a healthcare company. We have to forecast that too. And if we go under whatever percentage of dollars that we said we were going to make, you have to make some sacrifices. And it's like, but we're a healthcare company. Why are we making those forecasting decisions? I don't understand. So it's
I guess like increase
being in
better
part of
Mr. Cabo timeshare, you know. So that's why.
True.
As opposed to them looking at it like, hey, those were extremely profitable years. How can we sustain that? Or
it should be a question of sustaining.
How can we plan the next product that when Fortnite isn't a thing anymore? Do we do a Fortnite sequel? Do we do we rethink Fortnite and restructure it over the next few years to keep it sustainable? No, they have to go up the next level and up the next level. And it's
the next level for them is putting in building. We're going to put building back in the game.
Oh my gosh. It's just, it's a poisonous mindset, and it's sad. Even if there were good reasons for some of these moves, business-wise, right? Even if, like, from a cold-hearted point of view, maybe there were good numbers reasons, and I love analytics, so I can understand how there might be analytics behind it. I think the core goal of those analytics is off base. This idea of growth is just it's a poisonous thought.
Like
stuck in.
If you're at the bottom or even the middle of a company and you're like, hey, let's try this thing, and it didn't work out, what's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen to you?
Yeah.
You know,
you're going to be the one to go. You took the risk, and you're expendable.
So these people at the top making decisions, right, paying themselves a bunch of money to make decisions, they're like, they're
the ones making the biggest gambles most of the time, and not answering for it ultimately at the end of the day.
Yeah. So
true, but they're gambling with other people's livelihoods.
It's
a sad part. Yeah.
Again, I don't envy anybody that's, like Tim was saying, having to be in that position, even if you are making millions.
And displacing
I'm not fully
people.
I'm not fully sympathizing with them completely because they make so much freaking money.
Yeah.
But
be better.
Morally speaking, I would have the hardest time making that choice. You know.
I think you paint yourself into a corner.
I think
where
certain
you
people
have to make
are attracted to that role, though. You know what I mean?
For sure,
I think some cold-blooded people are usually the deliverers of this news. You know, it's not some bleeding heart from HR. You know, it's some like slick suit guy who works like in like corporate security who's just like, we're gonna get these people out of here. You know?
Yeah.
So for example, I know this is a really silly, small-scale example. Like for a while there, I was like, I want to, on average, like finish one significant game per month. So that way I can like knock out the big games, and then anything in between is fine. It's like I want to knock out one significant game per month on average. But the next year, if I was like, all right, that was good last year. Now I gotta finish 2 per, and then it's 3. Next thing you know, I gotta finish 1 per day because my dumb capitalism growth mindset has me stuck. So like, it's just a dumb way to approach things. Like I must improve that every year, or like
every year we have to double it. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Or like if it's like, hey, you work out for an hour a day. That was good last year. Every day worked out for an hour. Awesome. Next year, 2 hours a day. And at some point, you're like, hey, there's only 24 hours in a day.
46 hours a day.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's not enough to sustain in this
impossible.
Our current capitalistic system. I'm not saying all capitalism's bad. Don't misread.
Of course not.
But
I think people misuse
the way it's designed currently in this country specifically. At least.
Well, the way a lot of corporations structure around it must be growth in these areas, as opposed to like, hey, your company can grow and improve in areas that are different stats than what you used last year. It doesn't always have to be flat out revenue. Like you could sustain the revenue, keep that even, and grow in other areas, like grow in your diversity of products that you create, or like there's all kinds of different things you could grow in, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe we could run companies better than they could. All right.
Maybe. I'm sure that's how all companies started, though. Honestly.
with like super
innocent
people. Who...
Yeah, great intentions.
We're gonna do it right, guys, and then we laid off 4,000.
We're not gonna be like all the others. Yeah.
There's been a few
Enron.
about
You
this.
you ran Enron. Shit.
God damn it!
Some little guy starting up Enron in his basement, like I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna change the whole world with how good I am.
I'm in jail now. Oh no!
I'm gonna be different. All right. So quick hits. Dan, we'll start with you. Anything else you're playing or watching you want to highlight before we wrap up?
Yeah. So finished Sea of Stars. That was excellent. I did the same thing. I watched the true ending because I ain't got time for that.
Nobody here's a real gamer. I clocked that. I clocked that, everybody. Nobody's a real gamer here.
Listen,
we're all watching YouTube videos now.
I'm balancing the two beefiest games, all right? Starfield and Baldur's Gate. Okay.
Hey, Dan, you're the only one doing that right now.
Yeah,
okay? The whole world is not doing
nobody
that.
else.
I'm brave, Kyle. Okay. I'm so brave.
We're all juggling stuff, buddy.
Listen, I don't
that's
even
awesome. No, that's super cool though.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. And so what? Again, harkening back earlier to the conversation about just with traversal in Starfield and ironing out that and just kind of being more comfortable with it. Then I kind of remembered like, oh yeah, I like to do this, that, and the other with Bethesda games. I love to be like, let me look up like what's like one of the sickest weapons in the game. Like look up like whatever, I guess in this game, a ship, you know, like, oh, what's a sick ship I can find, you know? Right. So I like to kind of like pick that 1-2 things and then kind of like have those definitively. And then I'll just like start just going out and like just doing things. Because it's just fun to have like the one really super cool thing in the Bethesda game, like the terrible shotgun, for example, that I mentioned. I was like, oh, does this game have the terrible shotgun? So yeah.
No, by the way, it was just titanium shotgun. It was very boring. It wasn't terrible, but they might have a terrible one there. There's tons of stuff.
Maybe I haven't actually checked, but because I did a side mission that like you only even come across if you happen to be on this planet where you fought these guys that had an item on them that has this secret like facility that you go. Okay. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So that, all right, cool. So I did that, and that's freaking rad.
That mission was great.
That's just
so good.
Like, but also just what the Mantis is in retrospect to like, you know, what it's trying.
And if you actually listen to like the recordings and stuff and get the whole story, it's like, dude,
it's so good.
Yeah.
The little story that's going on in all like the data terminals and
great.
holodecks or whatever. Oh, very good. Yeah.
So that's super rad.
What
so
a 7 out of 10 mission for a 7 out of 10 game.
That's the max score it can get is 7.
Yeah, so mid. So I did that, and that was super rad. So I'm just flying around in that now with that suit, and that's super awesome. So yeah, I'm having a good time with that. And yeah,
you'll get some conversation stuff now that you've beaten that. You'll be able to choose Mantis dialogue options.
Ooh, okay, cool. I haven't come across that yet, but that's pretty rad. Speaking of conversations, Baldur's Gate, that's pretty rad.
What did you roll? What kind of character are you using?
I did I'm a sexy drow lady.
Okay. Class?
Sexy drow.
I like how you gave me the picture. What's the
barbarian? I'm a barbarian.
Cool.
So
I'm a barb too. Okay, cool.
Angry drow gal.
Yeah.
I went with barbarian as well.
I love it.
Angry drow gal. So yeah, and just oh my god, the down by the by the river?
Yeah.
I was gonna say down by the river, but I think it's just by the river or whatever.
Yeah.
The song that when you're
that song is the musical motif through the entire game. Yeah, you'll always hear like it playing in the background in some way. Yeah.
The way that the lyrics come in just in and out like while you're making your character, and that woman's voice is like super beautiful. I was like definitely just sitting there like
I hate everyone close your ears. I'm sorry everybody, but that song and part reminds me of Dragon Age Inquisition where you're walking to the new castle and like that really beautiful song with the beautiful girl who's singing it. Like,
yes,
it's kind of the same vibe. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go commit seppuku now. So thank you.
But really, everything is just D&D. So I mean, that's not a ridiculous comparison. Dragon Age is basically just D&D.
I felt dirty the second I said it. So.
But yeah, like that game is just so cool, and like I haven't gotten super far into it, but I've seen things that like if you play D&D, like actual like the board game and like sitting with friends, like you can do like that kind of ridiculous like stuff if you use your imagination. Like I saw something where somebody stacked like, I don't know, like a bunch of like boxes or something that then like they climbed up to the box and they somehow got over to like some castle or structure. Like, I don't know. They basically stacked a bunch of things together and then like rolled and like were able to like leap over to some place. Like the fact that you can do that in that game, because you could do that in D&D if you get good rolls and stuff like that. And like, again, using your imagination is just super cool. So, yeah, Baldur's Gate is just rad. It's really rad.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent.
So yeah, so that's the two main things. Okay. Oh, and One Piece. I'm still watching One Piece, so that's pretty cool.
You'll always be watching One Piece.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a forever show. So.
I mean, until I'm not watching it, but I'll be.
And then you'll be ready for the live action one, which will go for even longer.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I already mentioned some of the stuff that I'm playing. So I'm playing a lot of Dave the Diver. I'm almost done with that. Love that game. I started Cyberpunk 2077 again, but that kind of ties into the new stuff from this week. So I already talked about my thoughts on that as well. More Zelda, trying to wrap that one up. I'm at the last dungeon, and I don't know, man. That game it's just an amazing video game. It's really good. It's really fantastic.
Another mid game.
It's fantastic.
What did I call it in the group? Tears of the Ding Dong.
You did.
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. I tried to find something that was.
It's not bad. I think
make a lot of ding dongs in that game.
I think we can do better, but that's pretty
squeeze
good.
Met in there. I couldn't squeeze 7. I guess you could put 7 in there somewhere.
People make dicks out of stuff in that game, so
that's true. That's true.
So it's actually accurate.
Yeah.
It is quite the tier of a ding dong.
Yeah.
Very true. Oh, and then the other one that I won't spend too much time talking about because Derek's not here to chime in, because I know that we would dive into like 35 minutes of this. But I have been playing a good amount of Lies of P. It's an excellent game. It really is excellent. I don't know that I'll finish it because the bosses are tough. I mean, to me, it's more Dark Souls than it is Elden Ring. Like I think the bosses are tougher. Whereas in Elden Ring, I felt like I could figure out ways to get super powered and things like jump attacks. And Elden Ring was just different, and I was better at it. And I'm not quite as good at this. And this one, dude, it requires a lot of precision. I know they patched it and made some things easier, but it's still pretty tough. But it's excellent. It's a really pretty game too. Like, I see why it got the positive reaction that it got. So Lies of P is a very, very good video game. So that's pretty much it. What about you? Let's see, Kyle. What have you been playing or watching you want to highlight?
Not much. All the stuff we've kind of already talked about. I've been playing a little more Baldur's Gate 3 as well. I think once I learned that I could toss my small friend, my buddy who's playing a small character, that's all I do now is I shove him off stuff and I toss him off stuff. And we just scream at each other for 4 hours a night. It's a lot of fun.
I saw the Sony Twitter account put out something about bowling with your friends. Like they call it Baldur's Gate, where you like throw your friend into a bunch of boxes that line up. Like,
sure.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
That's really it. I haven't really been watching anything. Haven't really been playing anything else except for all the new stuff. So I will surrender my time to somebody who's been doing more.
Jeffrey.
Oh, that's not me though.
You're all that's left, Jeff. So you better make up something.
Okay. Well, I mean, I mentioned I beat Sea of Stars. I don't have much more to say because I already mentioned it's cracked my 10 for this year, so I love it, obviously. There have been some newish movies that came out that I didn't leave them in our notes because they're kind of more niche-ish. Are
you guys going to do another episode of Current Cinema?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, we backed up a couple episodes and we ran out, so now we have to back up a couple more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll catch up on some other 2023 big ones that came out. If not some recent stuff, it doesn't matter. We'll figure something out.
I saw that the new Ninja Turtles movie is on Paramount now.
It is.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. That's a great movie. I love that movie. Hopefully that'll be one that we talk about.
I think that is the next episode that we're doing. Yeah.
Sweet. So what just came out on Netflix, I don't know why they didn't put it together as one movie full of anthology shorts, but Wes Anderson put out a bunch of Roald Dahl, the guy with the stupidest name in the history of authors. He put together like 4 short films that star all the same actors. It's like Benedict Cumberbatch, Rupert Friend, and like Dev Patel, Ray Fiennes, whatever, and then some other people.
They're like 40-minute movies, right? Like
the first one is the longest one. It's like 40 minutes. The rest are like 15 minutes. So I'm like, why didn't you just release it as a movie? And Netflix could have promoted it. It would have gotten more traction, I feel like, that way. But it depends on how you feel about Wes Anderson as a whole, because these are the driest I've seen a Wes Anderson thing be. So it depends on your tolerance for characters just reading what Roald Dahl, whatever his name is, what he wrote. Basically, they're just like reciting what he wrote for a lot of it. But some of it's really funny. Like, I mean, the first short and the last short, I think, were the best ones. The second one was pretty good. The third one I didn't really care for. But the humor in the fourth one is just tops. It's just great. It's called Poison, and like Benedict Cumberbatch's character gets a snake in his stomach or something like that. That's the story, at least. Anyway, it's quite funny. Movie I watched on Apple just came out this week. It's called Flora and Son. And this is a movie about songwriting, and it's by the director of Once and Sing Street. So obviously, I loved it. I mean, I'm such a sap, and these are like, he writes the sappiest movies imaginable. I mean, there's some more nuance in them and stuff, but yeah, this one's more about like a mother having trouble connecting with her son, and she got a guitar for him, and he just said no. So she just started taking lessons herself. And then she got her teacher is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he's more of a songwriter, so he shows her how to write songs and stuff like that. And the person that plays the lead is Bono's daughter. It's Eve Houston. I did not know that was Bono's. I've seen her and stuff before. I did not know that was Bono's daughter the whole time. Until she started singing, and I was like, where did she learn how to sing? Oh, that's Bono. Okay, well, that's like a cheat code. That's not fair. But yeah, it's a good movie. And then the last movie I wanted to mention is on Hulu. It's called No One Will Save You, and it stars Caitlin Dever. And this is it's like an alien invasion story, but it's like a horror movie straight up. It's not really sci-fi. And it's all like, there's no dialogue. Like, the only dialogue you'll hear is occasionally somebody going help in the background, or the radio coming on or something like that. But for the most part, there's no dialogue, and that actually kind of makes the movie way more tense. Yeah, it's like a 90-minute tight package. You know, I mean, it's really great cinematography and like just really tense moments. It's like, I love the movie Signs, even though everybody makes some valid points about the water.
I love that movie.
I love
the movie Signs.
I will be brave and say I think that movie is trash, but you know, whatever.
Trash?
God damn it!
Yeah, I
God
hate that movie.
I think it's a good time.
But like, they're the most intense sequences in Signs. Imagine that being a whole movie, and that's what this movie is. Like, remember the scene where they're in the basement and the aliens are kind of like coming around them and stuff like that? That's what this movie is kind of like. Where it's kind of like you'll see shadows of an alien, and then like suddenly you'll be like right next to her, and like it's really, really intense. Yeah, it's good stuff. Highly recommend.
When you said that, I just pictured the British guy from Jurassic Park going "clever girl" because she sneaks up beside.
Yeah. She does a lot of cool. She's like a survivor. She's got a really messed up past that is probably going to make it hard for people to empathize with her when you get the full picture.
Yeah,
but it's still really cool. It's like a whole Black Mirror episode, basically.
You know what movie does that kind of intense, where are they, and they're very dangerous kind of vibe is the Pitch Black. Both of those Pitch Black movies.
Yeah.
The original one.
But we don't want to talk about that one.
Well, like the original one, and then the other one. Did they call the other one just Pitch Black as well?
Riddick. They call the third one Riddick.
They call it Riddick. Right.
Yeah. There's the Chronicles of
I'm
whatever.
not talking about the Chronicles, which was hey, let's do Lord of the Rings in space. Like, that didn't really work.
Yeah, that didn't work at all.
Yeah. But like the two on either side were pretty solid.
Yeah, because the third one was trying to be what the first one was, basically.
Yeah, and I thought it recaptured some of that ridiculous but fun sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
I liked both of those. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally side note there. All right, cool. Well, listen, that wraps us up for this week. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week as we dive into a whole bunch of more new stuff. Gosh, I gotta finish one of these games. Hopefully it's Zelda. I really hope I can finish Zelda this week, because I'm on that last dungeon. There's really no excuse for me not to like just, all right, I'm just gonna focus on that and beat the game. I should.
Dude, I've put 70 hours into
that
game, and I haven't even done the first dungeon.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Wow.
How have you not done one dungeon?
I literally just meandered. I did the whatever you want to call them, the
towers,
the towers and all that. I just meandered. Yeah, it was just meandering.
Ubisoft
just meander.
I get you.
I Ubisoft. That's right.
Do we know if Assassin's Creed gets early access for deluxe editions or no?
I think it's just the 5th, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I'm not positive.
I'll just probably do Ubisoft Plus because I really don't want to spend so much freaking money this month. It's going to be insane.
It's going to be a rough month of money spending. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna.
So that just makes the most sense to just be like $15 for this month and that's it. You know?
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for checking us out. Bye.